Bauke Mollema in second place. He and his Belkin teammate Laurens ten Dam, who's sixth, are a twin threat, as are Alberto Contador in third, who has Roman Kreuziger right behind him. Nairo Quintana no longer has Alejandro Valverde ahead of him in the classification, but a Valverde 12 minutes down and out of the running for the race overall will be an even more volatile element in today's high-altitude mixture.
A lot of people have lost time in the race now. A lot of people have reason to attack now. A lot of people have spent a lot of energy in the last couple of days, so it's going to be an interesting one, and it's definitely quite a fight up on the slopes of Ventoux tomorrow.
And you're a rider who rides on instinct, and I know that you have personal ambitions. It would be a great scalp, a great stage to win. Will you be able to resist attacking and riding out a stage win yourself?
I mean, yeah, winning something like on top of Mont Ventoux, that would be, in cycling terms, that's got to be a dream come true. So I'm sure a lot of people will be going for it tomorrow.
And there's a lot to go for, not the least of which is a Bastille Day stage win. Now, as well as tackling Mont Ventoux, the riders also face the longest stage of the race today. In fact, the longest for 13 years, 242.5 kilometres. It's 208 kilometres into the stage before we even get to the intermediate sprint. I shouldn't think that will be too keenly contested, but what follows will. A 21-kilometre climb through the trees and then out onto the exposed slopes of Mont Ventoux, where everyone's strengths and weaknesses will be on show. Now, talking of strengths and weaknesses, we've got possibly the most spectacular backdrop of the tour so far, spoiled only by the fact that we have to stand in front of it. Sorry about that. If you want to take photos of your telly later, just tweet us and we'll stand back out again. Now, the first thing to say, and I know we say this every year, but I think this year it might really be true. As far as the Mont Ventoux is concerned, I have never seen so many people on it. Estimates of 1 million. I don't know whether that's right, but it's huge.
Well, I'm going to do some calculations and produce a spreadsheet later, but judging by the ride up this morning that Ned and I had, I mean, by the top, it's actually thinned out here. It was absolutely 10 deep on the road on bicycles lower down, and we were in a traffic jam of cyclists for about 15 kilometres, so fantastic, and lots of Brits mixed in there as well.
Yes, and talking of Brits, nice to see a steady stream of cyclists, not only Brits, cyclists of all nationalities, picking their way across the loose rock in their cleats to lay different offerings at the Tommy Simpson Memorial. 46 years ago yesterday, of course, that he died.
It's become something of a touchstone for cyclists, even if it's not around a race. If they're just coming up, they're touring to leave small gifts, inner tubes, bottles, any little thing that they've got with them, just as a sign of respect as they pass by.
Now, this race, this mountain, is packed with history, but as far as adding to that history today goes, do you think we're going to see a big fight for the general classification, or is it going to be more about the stage win and marking behind?
Well, we've seen a Tour de France of surprises, haven't we? I mean, my thoughts before today were we were just going to see a breakaway go at the start and they'd all back off. They'd have 2 super hard days. They've got one big climb at the end where you could separate it out for a stage win and for the GC, but, well, from what we've seen already so far, I don't think it's going to work out that way.
So, has anybody got the legs to attack Chris Froome? And if they haven't, I mean, I know Sky are cautious and they like to ride within themselves and it's all about the big picture, but it's Mont Ventoux, for goodness sake. If he has a chance, surely he'd fancy the stage win.
Well, that might be the style of Sky, but it's not necessarily the style of Chris Froome, is it? He is a very sharp rider, so if we see any action from him, I think we'll see it right in the last few kilometres. But before that, I think Quintana is the most likely person to attack with Movistar. Got a lot of cards to play there. They might want to push on really hard, so that could liven things up with that white jersey competition as well.
All right, possibly 2 races then today. There's the race for the yellow jersey in Paris. There's the race for the stage, and of course it is Bastille Day, so Frenchmen will want to be in the running. Let's take a look at who we fancy to win today's stage, and 3 of us have gone for Frenchmen. Phil and I have gone for Pierre Rolland. Chris has gone for John Gadret. Then Ned's chosen Thomas de Gent. Matt, Nairo Quintana, who of course is looking to ride himself up the general classification, and Paul has gone for the banker, Chris Froome. Here's how things stand overall coming into this stage. Philip Paul still tied on 20, Chris on 19, I'm on 18, Matt on 12, and Ned on 11. Now then, you can see Movistar are driving the chase at the front of the field today, with Sky and the yellow jersey of Chris Froome right behind them.
Out front with a lead of 3 minutes 18 seconds is a 9-man group. Now, amazingly, and surely he can't survive all the way to the top of Mont Ventoux, Peter Sagan is in there. Also 3 Frenchmen, Pierrick Fedrigo, Jeremy Roy and Sylvain Chavanel. Christophe Riblon, sorry, by the way, in there as well. 4 Frenchmen in the 9-man break, along with Daryl Impey, the former yellow jersey. They look, though, as they are going to be caught. Before we get to the foot of this climb, let's get over to commentary and join Phil and Paul.
62.8 kilometres to go, and that's about exactly what the race covered, Paul, in the first 2 hours of racing today. They are cruising so far ahead of schedule, and just take a look at the length of this peloton. I think it must be 500 metres long.
It's been hammered down since the very first hour of this race. 48.2 kilometres an hour in the first hour, 50.4 in the second. It's really been a very long, hard chase. And it's all because, Phil, they want to pull it back together. That's about 31 miles an hour for the first 2 hours of the race.
And that's incredibly fast, showing no respects for Mont Ventoux today. The last 20 kilometres uphill to the Prime line. The top of the King of the Mountains line, by the way, is not the top of the finish. You go round the corner to cross the finishing line, so it's not quite the summit of Mont Ventoux.
Well, people talked about the weakness of Team Sky when we went through the Pyrenees, but you know, when you get into the last week of the race, team tactics can change, and you see other teams coming forward and they take the responsibility of the race. On a situation like that, it gives Team Sky a little bit of a break today.
Yes.
So you can see them, they'll still sit near the front end of the main field, and they will still ride around the yellow jersey and protect Chris Froome for as long as possible. But because this team from Spain, Team Movistar, believe they've got a man who is capable of winning the stage, they're quite happy to do all of the pacemaking at the front to make sure that that breakaway group doesn't get too far away before we get to the foot of the climb. And it's never really gone very well. It went up to 7 minutes and 5 seconds, but almost immediately reached that point. Europcar from France went to the front and started nailing it back. They were then relayed by Team Movistar from Spain here.
Yes, and at the moment Movistar seems to be riding with a tempo exactly the same as the tempo of the 9 riders up front. They're just staying virtually the same, moving forward a second, dropping back a second, but it's locked in at the moment. And this is good for Peter Sagan, who's hunting points in that green jersey. And as Paul says, if he gets the 20 points today, he's setting himself up, I think, for all the way to Paris.
Yeah, but I think, Phil, what is important is if the breakaway group wants to have any hope of surviving on a day like today with that 21-kilometre ascent up to the summit of Mont Ventoux, the breakaway would need at least a 10-minute advantage, because it's a 50 to 55-minute climb, and you can lose huge chunks of climb per kilometre on a climb like the Mont Ventoux.
You most certainly can. It's an absolute brute, and it's quite steep. It's up for over 9% in places on 3 or 4 sections. It levels slightly, kicks again, and it's steepest up near where it finishes. But they're not going to get the heat often associated with Provence, because it's gone quite cool. It's only 18 degrees on the summit of Mont Ventoux. It was 23 at the start of the day.
Just scooted over a very beautiful little village there called Venterol. It's just off the race route. It's a 14th century village, which at one time was the frontier village belonging to the Kingdom of Dauphiné.
You can see how fast that peloton is going at the moment. As we enter the town and just leave Venterol, if you see the church, it's the Church of Notre Dame. Again, you won't believe the number of people in Provence today to watch the passage of the Tour de France. Every little town we go through is absolutely packed, and they reckon up to 300,000 people standing on the mountain itself.
Right, yeah, keep swinging the sword, use the shield as well. Keep running out of arrows.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Welcome to my little house in the country. Here I enjoy the simple life, making cidre. The work is hard. The apples have to be picked by hand. This one. And after an honest day's work, 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to relax with the locals. A simple Belgian recipe for a sophisticated taste. C'est cidre, not cider.
Carphone Warehouse compare the widest range of major networks and bring you deals of our own. Like this free Samsung Galaxy Ace with a free Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 7-inch and a free Samsung Galaxy camera, all for just £21 per month. Great deals at Carphone Warehouse.
New Lynx Apollo, now available on Earth. Also available in antiperspirant.
Knowing your credit score could help you get the things you want in life. With Experian Credit Expert, you can see your credit report and score online. And our team of dedicated experts can help you manage, protect and improve it, so you can take control of your financial future. Get your Experian credit report and score with our free 30-day trial. Experian Credit Expert. A brighter financial future is in your hands.
Right, you lot, behave yourselves.
Why?
Because you're in the Tesco price promise.
No, we're not.
Yes, you are. It's not just big brands, it's fresh food and own label. Russell, get down off that yoghurt.
Buy 10 or more different items at Tesco, and if your comparable grocery shopping costs more than at Asda, Sainsbury's or Morrison's, we'll give you a voucher for the difference at the checkout.
Oh, nearly forgot one.
Did you know over 95% of the nation's most watched TV programmes are available subscription-free and all in one place? Switch to Freeview and get over 95% of the nation's top telly. Free from contracts, free from subscriptions. Freeview. How good is that?
Peugeot 2008 crossover. See the city in a different light.
Linda Turner. You're our kind of person. There's no color you can't match. No DIY disaster you can't divert. You're always giving extra to shoppers in need. From the green-fingered to the power-hungry, everyone benefits from your help. You'll never tell someone where to go unless they ask you where to go. No job is too big or too tough. You're not satisfied until the customer's satisfied. If anyone's giving extra, it's you, Linda. And at Halifax, we think people who give extra should get extra back from their bank. That's why Linda's switched to Halifax, the UK's best current account provider. Linda, you've nailed it.
Racing, tricks, news and views.
BMXers, commuters, mountain bikers, this is the show for you.
The ultimate show for cyclists is back.
That's an exciting time to be involved in cycling.
Sum it up in one word. Mega.
Brand new The Cycle Show, Mondays at 8 on ITV4.
Swing, Riley.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
That's it.
Movistar, Paul, all on the front. The team that was embarrassed when they lost Alejandro Valverde and lost him out to second place overall because of that broken wheel in the crosswinds. They also lost their lead in the team race. They wisely left the little Colombian climber in that leading group, so he's the leader now. But this team said they'd fight back, and this is their answer.
Yes, and I still wonder, Phil, if Alejandro Valverde didn't make a tactical bad decision when he decided to swap a wheel with one of his teammates. I think he should have jumped onto one of his teammates' bikes, got himself back into the main field as quickly as possible, then called forward the team car, and then he would have had a chance of staying, and he lost everything in one day. And he had great form, and they looked so good when they raced through the Pyrenees.
Well, he'd be a big danger today because he's strong enough to launch an attack on the climb. They got back up into second place in the team race yesterday, behind Saxo Tinkoff, because they had two men in that breakaway, which succeeded yesterday, beating the peloton home by 7 minutes. So they made a bit of a recovery in the team race, coming up from 5th to 2nd, and now they're planning on seeing what they can do. Can they springboard Quintana up to a win on Mont Ventoux in his first tour?
Well, that's what the plan is, and it's also maybe to try and regain the lead in that King of the Mountain, in the team competition. This is the River Aigu. It's a river that flows towards the southeast. It flows through the departments of the Drôme and Alpes and the Haute-de-Provence, and all the way down to the Vaucluse, which is where the Mont Ventoux is.
And where the riders are staying all in this area tomorrow. If they feel so inclined, they will be able to ride up again tomorrow for training before they go into the mountains of the Alps on Tuesday. And there's the River Aigu. The riders running right along the left-hand shoulder of it here, being dragged into a long straight line. It's been like this all day long. They're way ahead of the fastest expected arrival time. They have been picking up a very nice tailwind in their favour all the way to the base of the mountain today.
Well, the race organisation, Phil, today had a plan of maybe a 39 kilometres an hour average speed, and so far, after 4 hours of racing, it's 46.6 kilometres an hour. Plenty of Spanish flags out to support which one, Alberto Contador or Alejandro Valverde. Contador, I think, will be in a very, very strong position here. He's got some strong riders around him when they get up to the higher slopes of the Mont Ventoux. The fourth hour of the race was 45.5 kilometres an hour, and the average of the race since the start, 46.6. They are, I must admit, they are picking up a slight cross tailwind coming down the valley of the Rhône. We're travelling in almost directly a southerly direction. But once we get to the Mont Ventoux, we go all the way around the base and come up, and the headwind on the mountain may well nullify the speed of some of the climbers.
So looking at the boys at Movistar, they've had a great season, this team, Paul, and this is the icing on the cake until it all went wrong with Valverde a couple of days ago. But thank heavens they had the intelligence not to pull Quintana back from that lead group, because Sky did that once when they pulled back Geraint Thomas in the white jersey.
That's correct, yeah, that was when Bradley Wiggins crashed and broke his wrist. The thing with Quintana, we don't have any references. We know that as a youngster he was born in the region of Boyacá in Colombia. He was born at 3,000 meters in altitude. That's almost 10,000 feet. So he's not scared at all. And he used to ride 18 kilometers to school, was about 12 miles, and it was all uphill. And that's almost about the same distance as the ride to the top of the Mont Ventoux here today.
Yeah, well, that's good training. I wonder if he ever knew that one day it would come into such good use here. You can always recognize the smallest rider near the front there of all of the riders in those dark blue jerseys. And he's such a complete climber. When you see him attack, as we will, he looks so good on a bike when he's going uphill.
Won a big stage last year in the Critérium de Dauphiné, which is always a good indicator of a guy who can go on and race in the Tour de France. And Alain Pierre-Roland, well, I'm not surprised there's a bit of a French flavour today, Phil, because after all, it is Le 14 Juillet.
Yep. And you know that he tried to get across the break, Pierre-Roland, but failed, got within a few seconds and dropped back. Now, Kwiatkowski is the man in the white jersey at the moment. He has already said this morning he expects to lose his lead to Quintana because he climbs mountains too well. And Talansky is up into third place there. The American who finished third yesterday, and he's only just a minute back, and he might find himself in second place today.
You never know. You know, Talansky, with that fine performance yesterday, Phil, climbed up into 12th place overall, looking for 5 minutes and 54 seconds. And you never know, in the last week of the Tour de France, these breakaways can form, and if he gets 3 or 4 minutes, who knows, he could get himself inside of the top 10. But he needs to put in a solid ride this afternoon. So 51 kilometres to go. That's 32 miles to the finish. 3 minutes and 33 seconds is the advantage of the 9-man leading group, and not too far away now from getting themselves to Mollesen, which is where the sprint point is. And that's where Peter Sagan will be looking to get himself maximum points. Did you know, Phil, that yesterday was only the second stage in the Tour de France that Peter Sagan hasn't got any points at all? He's got points on almost every other stage.
I didn't actually, but I'm absolutely certain you're absolutely right, because this guy goes for every opportunity. He reminds me of the man we always call the God of Thunder, Thor Hushovd, who isn't riding the race this year. He won the green jersey because he was prepared to pick up the points even on mountain stages with aggressive riding, and Sagan is that sort of a rider. He well deserved the 20 points today. He's got to win them yet. He's 10 kilometres away from the sprint point. Nobody in that breakaway is going to attack him because he's the man who's got the big lead. They can't really alter the destiny in that front group.
No, but these guys could very well go to the early slopes of the Mont Ventoux with a little advantage over the front end of the main field, but I think we'll see a big battle today on Bastille Day. Sylvain Chavanel just looking across, and I can tell you from here, if you look across to your left-hand side, you can see the Mont Ventoux in the distance. It's a scary sight when you realise you've got to drag your body to the top of that summit.
50 kilometres exactly now to go to the top of Mont Ventoux.
Ready?
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Well done, son.
You said you want to, so all I care for is you. Be a hero, be I know you can. I'll come again. I know you can.
One car, a million possibilities. Adam from Vauxhall.
This is Virgin Media's super fast fibre optic broadband, and this is regular broadband, late as usual. Virgin Media handling 4 devices online at once, very impressive. Richard's over the moon. This is proving a pinch more difficult for regular broadband. Maxin, relaxing, struggling. Richard's making other plans, they can't. Yep, nothing doing. Search Challenge Your Broadband today.
A credit card with no interest to pay on purchases. Yes, no interest. Not just for 6 months or 12 months, but for 18 months. And when you spend, you get club card points. Treat yourself to a little something extra. No interest to pay on purchases for 18 months and club card points? Well, that's a bank thinking like a supermarket. Very nice.
Here they come, one by one, back from days filled with fun. The day's been great, amazing, a blast. But now all you want is a nice hot bath, a snuggly duvet, a big comfy bed, a soft fluffy pillow to rest your head. Because at the end of the day, when you're all done in, you can always rely on a Premier Inn. A great night's sleep guaranteed.
We saw the latest operating system, Pump.
So is this the Somersby?
This is it. This is what the excitement's about.
Works in your normal docking system.
That's docked.
That's docked, yeah.
16 pip, 32 pip.
This is the 32 pip.
Full of great content, easy to use, and you've downloaded.
I've downloaded?
Yeah. And works perfectly in direct sunlight.
Somersby Cider. Less apps, more apples.
I like things a bit offbeat, me. So I bank with First Direct. Afternoon. They do things differently. Terrifies the local cats, that one.
Vehicle reversing.
They're not into that automated recording malarkey. You get through to a friendly human who just gets things sorted. First Direct, the unexpected bank.
Yorkie. Man fuel for man stuff.
Hello. I am Confused.com, the fastest insurance comparison robot in the world. But you can call me Brian.
Right.
I've run your details through my extensive circuits, resulting in a saving of £225 on your car insurance.
That's alright, that is, isn't it?
Yeah. Who is our daddy?
I don't know.
Bye-bye. Confused.com. How may I save you? Pounds.
It is carnage out there. We've got hundreds injured, 12 dead.
13 dead.
He looks a bit,
looking a lot more like revenge than diminished responsibility to me.
The new series of Law and Order. Tonight at 9 on ITV.
Right, let's just go. Plan? You go that way, I'll go this way, you go this way. Everyone go different ways.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
46 kilometres to go, 6 kilometres to the green jersey sprint, so Peter Sagan has worked very hard to be in the right move. He gambled because this being the longest stage of the race, and he's been in the lead almost since the gun today, and we've only got 46 kilometres left, because I was quite amazed to put the sprinter at some 5 kilometres to go. 5 kilometres to the sprint and 3:44. This is the breakaway. Remained basically unchanged. We did lose one rider in the sprint, but basically all together.
Well, we haven't seen the 10 kilometre to go banner just yet, as these 9 riders still hold on to 3 3/4 minutes. I think it's about 10 kilometres to go. We'd be very shortly going.
The route contour here, they've actually said the sprint is in the town of Crestay, but it's actually in the town of Moloshen, which is a couple of more kilometres, 6 more kilometres down the road. So they're actually about 11 kilometres to go now from this point to the sprint in Moloshen.
Well, despite the misunderstanding about where the exact sprint point is going to be, I don't think there'll be too much of a misunderstanding about who's going to be the first across the line, because I'm certain that's going to be Peter Sagan.
But he's got to survive a little bit further than we thought there. Don't often see an error in the route information, I must say. 44.7 kilometres is the distance from the finish. We start the serious climb, approximately 21 kilometres to go to the finish line. This is Peter Sagan. Had another amazingly successful Tour de France, most consistent of all of the sprinters, not the fastest of the sprinters. I think that has been proven over these last 2 weeks, but certainly the shrewdest operator, and that's how you win the green jersey.
This has been a very, very hard and fast stage so far as we enter into the department of the Vaucluse. Number 84, by the way, if you're interested. There are 95 different departments in France and 4 outre-mer, or overseas, which are islands either in the Caribbean or in the Indian Ocean. Ile de la Réunion is one of them. These guys from Movistar, they're certainly on a mission this afternoon. They want to get something back out of this race. They had a very difficult stage when they lost Alejandro Valverde, dropping from 2nd to 10th.
Good steady tempo. The plan is being hatched here by Movistar. I suspected the first attack will come from Alejandro Valverde, and Chris Froome knows it. He will try to, if once he won't bother, I suspect, to counter any attack made now by Valverde, because he's lost the time. But he has certainly watched the climber from Colombia, Valverde's teammate, as we now go into this beautiful Roman town of Vaison-la-Romaine.
Well, I've just noticed at the bottom there the old Roman theatre, which goes back to the ancient times. It was made a historical monument in 1862. Only 2 of its arches remain. It was restored quite dramatically. In fact, the restoration still continues there, and in fact they hold concerts there. Just on the top of the outcrop there, on this steep outcropping, is the castle of the Counts of Toulouse, and that was built in 1195 by Raymond IV, who was the Count of Toulouse at the time, and he was also the Marquis of Provence, replacing a tower that was on the same point that had been destroyed by Bishop Béranger. And the chateau, which was deprived of its defences, was on a number of occasions decapitated, had the top part taken off it, but they've still been well preserved by the monuments of France. And France, on its 100th edition of the Tour, is also celebrating the magnificent history and culture that this country possesses. And we're also celebrating a big fast race as well, because now as we go through Vaison-la-Romaine, we will pick up in a couple of kilometres time the small town of Cresté, and after Cresté we will go down into the sprint at Molosène, and it's still locked in at 3 minutes and 40 seconds there, 42 kilometres to go, but we're 21 kilometres of ascent and 21 kilometres to the bottom.
42 kilometres to go, 3:35 is the gap. The Paul led even pulling away just now. This is good news for Peter Sagan for the moment.
Well, for the moment, but I don't think it'll be good news for Peter Sagan when we hit the early slopes of the Mont Ventoux, because the first few kilometres there are gradients of around about 10%. But I think it's really the most difficult when you climb out of the tree line up here in the last 5 or 6 kilometres to go to the top, and you reach the area which the French call les caillasses, or the rocks, because it's just white rock here and it reflects the heat and makes it very, very difficult to breathe.
It's been traced back 95 million years at the rocks on the top of Mont Ventoux. So that has some stories to tell us. I would say the first time the Tour de France went up, it was in 1951. It didn't stop at the top, it just went over it. Lasserides won that climb at the top, then it continued on. The first time he finished on Mont Ventoux was 1958. I can't imagine what the roads were like then. The great angel of the mountains, Charlie Gall, won the time trial to the top of Ventoux on that occasion.
Well, I'm really amazed, Phil, that this group is staying clear with the magnificent chase that's been done by the Spanish Movistar team. But I don't think there's a rider in that group strong enough to survive with a 3-minute start at the bottom of the climb.
I'm extremely close. He's right in front of me.
Again.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Go her.
This weekend, take advantage of Halfords weekly offers. Like this Exodus roof box that's perfect for all that extra luggage is £199.99, better than half price. And this Pioneer stereo, which controls, plays and charges your iPod, is better than half price, now only £69.99. Halfords, get outside.
Listen, it's been 2 months. I think we should take this to another level.
Online gaming?
No, I mean we should make this official.
Go fishing.
Your Wi-Fi keeps breaking up.
Breaking up?
Not me, it's definitely you.
Hey?
The connection? That bad boy works like a dream.
He's been a bad boy.
Hmm? I just want you to be my girlfriend.
Oh. Okay.
You know, if you want.
Yeah.
You'll have to make some changes, though.
I can change.
The new BT Home Hub's wireless signal gives you unbeatable reliability.
A hotel in Barcelona. In a good central location. So yeah, something like this, but for 2 people.
With separate beds?
Sorry.
Come on, more stylish.
Okay.
More like it.
No way.
This one is perfect. Is there a pool?
Yeah, there is.
Trivago compares over 100 websites to find you your ideal hotel at the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Instructions for the modern man. Man's outer layer is designed to withstand reasonable wear and tear. He is shockproof. He is waterproof. However, standard cleaning products may dry out man's outer layer. Solution: Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. It cleans man and protects skin from dryness. Man's outer layer can even withstand multiple attack. Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash. Skin care built in.
I like things a bit offbeat, me. So I bank with First Direct. Afternoon. They do things differently. Terrifies the local cats, that one.
Vehicle reversing.
They're not into that automated recording malarkey. You get through to a friendly human who just gets things sorted. First Direct, the unexpected bank.
Go on, let your style burst out.
Told you not to buy a cheap sat nav. We need to take the next left. If you look properly, we go right at the roundabout.
Oh, that's ridiculous, man. Where'd you get this map?
I got it in the shop.
Hey, why don't we ask someone for directions?
Never in all my life.
McCoy's, rich, thick, and rammed full of flavour.
Get in the car.
No, you get in the car.
McCoy's, man crisps. What?
Get you some, baby, get you some.
Not everybody can be roughneck. Their lives are in my hands.
Shut it down.
I'm proud of these guys.
Air Doyle, Texas team.
Black Gold continues Tuesday at 8 on ITV4.
Dad, you're close.
5,
I can see him, I can see him.
3, 2.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
The pressure is still on. The gap, though, is going up a little bit. It's around 3:42 now as we come across from the hilltop town of Crestay in our helicopter to look down on the peloton of the Tour de France as we continue to spin around all of the ruins here. I think this is Entrechaux, just above the riders, and the crowd, when you get onto the race route, enormous today. And the breakaway holding their own, and they're not very far now from where the green jersey sprint is.
Well, that is the castle just outside of Entrechaux. It was originally built in the 12th century. The castle actually nowadays is privately owned. And the chapel you can see just over to the right-hand side there, that's the 12th century chapel of Notre Dame de Nazareth. Nazareth, if you like. 5,000 meters for the sprint, and that's for the main field. So the leading group of 9 riders can't be very far away from seeing the 1 or 2 kilometers to go point.
There's about maybe inside 2 kilometers to go. We'll find out in a moment. The Italian flag flies in this part of the world apparently as the breakaway comes through. Peter Sagan, nearest camera, number 11. That was the number Stephen Roach wore when he won the Tour de France back in 1987. And his son's riding the race and riding very well, I might add, this year in this Tour.
In fact, Stephen Roach was spotted at the Saxo Bank team hotel last night talking to his son. I wonder if he would be able to drop in a few words of advice there.
Well, he rode at Mont Ventoux in the year that he won the Tour de France. And there's the support for Sylvain Chavanel.
And Chavanel's in the breakaway. That's him there with the Omega Pharma Quick Stop jersey on his shoulders with the pale blue across the shoulders. Just adjusting his sunglasses. We've gone through the early small climbs, a few ripples as we made our way down from the start town of Givors. And now what's looming on the horizon for these guys is the sprint point. And for one man, it's a very important rendezvous. And that, of course, is for Peter Sagan. He's made a point of trying to get to points on every day, and only on 2 stages of the Tour de France since the very first day has he not marked points. That's why he's got himself, well, if he gets the maximum here of 20 points, so if he crosses the line in first place, he will have almost 100 points lead over Mark Cavendish, who's in second place in that competition. Just see Chris Froome hovering around his teammates there. He's got Richie Porte just sitting behind him. Richie Porte could be a very important ally in the early slopes of the Mont Ventoux here this afternoon. Just sitting in the back there, you can see number 128. That is Nairo Quintana, the young 23-year-old we've been talking about quite a lot. The Movistar are expecting big things from that young man. He's a fabulous climber. Also just noted moving up there, because there are still sprint points available. There are 9 riders clear. There are sprints for the points for the first 15 riders to cross the line. I just noticed Mark Cavendish moving to the front and Andre Greipel. They won't give up in that competition until we get onto the final day on the Champs-Élysées. But this man from Slovakia has a huge advantage.
Went to the front, Peter Sagan. He gave the eye to all the riders to let him know, yes, I'm in the breakaway, and in 600 meters time, the 20 points are reserved for me.
I wonder if Sylvain Chavanel will try and challenge Peter Sagan, because he's a teammate of Mark Cavendish. But you know, this man is so versatile. The rider sitting in the back there wearing number 11, he's capable of going into the breakaway. He won in the early part of this year a very good one-day race called the Ghent-Wevelgem. It's a one-day classic in Belgium, and everybody expected him to wait to try and win the race in the sprint, because he was the fastest rider in the sprint, and he said no way. He took off and won it on his own, and then pulled a wheelie as he was crossing the finish line.
He's an absolute character. He's 400 meters from it now. He's going to stalk up the outside. I don't think anybody dare take him on in the sprint, indeed if they did. Chavanel is taking his wheel, conserving points perhaps for Cavendish, but if he tries to outsprint Peter Sagan, he might get a shock.
It might be interesting, but he's sitting right on his wheel. Sagan waiting for the last moment. You know what, I think Sylvain Chavanel might well just have a little crack at this, Phil.
He's got plenty of supporters here, and of course he would take the points away from it. It would only be 1 point, but he's not going to do that.
No.
As he hits the line, 20 points for Peter Sagan. When we look back in a week's time at the finish of the Tour de France, you might find that gave him the unassailable lead.
Yes, because now I've got Peter Sagan with, well, it depends on what happens in the group behind, because there's still a few points available for 10th down to 15th place. Just 6 points available for the 10th rider to cross the line. There's confirmation. Sagan, Chavanel and Impey are the first 3 riders over the line there in Mollesen. And this also is a beautiful little village, the village of Mollesen. It was actually built up around the old fort which tops the village, and plenty of the streets contain 16th and 17th century buildings. And plenty of fountains and plenty of public. Plenty of people to watch the race this afternoon. It's almost like riding, Phil, down a tunnel of noise.
Yep, as the flags beat around the area. We're heading now, we're in Mollesen with the leaders, and in a couple of kilometers we'll see the next men in. This is the castle of Le Barou.
Yeah, this castle looks down on the village of Barou, down in the back and down below. It was built in the 12th century. The castle, as you can see, has a very powerful keep. It's surrounded by thick walls, and it used to be the seat of the Comte de Venaison, who was a man who was in charge of leading this region. But it became a stronghold belonging to the apostolic chamber of Carpentras around about the 1700s.
Interestingly, Paul, it served as a quarry for 150 years. How do you make a quarry out of a castle? And then it was eventually renovated in 1929 to 1939 to what you see now.
Well, in 1944, the French resistance here actually shot a German soldier, and the reprisals in the village were quite terrible, and there were a lot of people from the village were gathered together and executed.
Well, days, very sad times. There's the happier times now with the passage here in Mollesen of the 100th edition of the Tour de France, as the crowds here pack the roadside. These are the leaders, but they're inching ever so close now to the start of the climb. And although there is an official start to the climb as we leave the town of Bédoin, it's steadily uphill now, and you can see the difference in the pace of these riders. 3:41, so they're starting to come down slightly, and only 33 kilometers from the finish, with 21 kilometers up Mont Ventoux.
See everybody now starting to move up around the outside, and we will see a sprint, I think, Phil, for the 10th place, because you can see Andre Greipel not far from the front there. On his left-hand shoulder there is Mark Cavendish. Also moving up Philippe Gilbert over to the right-hand side.
Well, they've got to take it on. They've got to keep hope and trying. But Peter Sagan certainly outwitted them today. But what a way to do it. What a lot of energy to expend. He'll drop off. I reckon he could be one of the first riders to drop off the breakaway once the climb starts. his job for the day will be done.
Well, there's just 10 kilometres to go for the leaders until they see the sign which will indicate 21 kilometres to go to the summit.
Sat on the back there, Paul, is Matteo Trentin, the winner of the stage yesterday, his first ever professional win. And Mark Cavendish was actually in tears to congratulate his teammate. Very moved by the youngsters' win, for the most unexpected for the team. Now we've got the two top sprinters in the peloton, and Greipel is taking Mark Cavendish towards the line here.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Allure Sport au extrême, Chanel.
This summer, on the 26th of July, Euromillions are creating 100 millionaires on the UK Millionaire Raffle. Imagine what it's like to wake up a millionaire. We're talking parties, houses, islands, the whole 9 yards. 100 millionaires. Friday the 26th of July on the UK Millionaire Raffle. Get your ticket now.
Thanks. I'll pick it up later. I like things a bit offbeat, me. So I bank with First Direct. Afternoon. They do things differently. Terrifies the local cats, that one.
Vehicle reversing.
They're not into that automated recording malarkey. You get through to a friendly human who just gets things sorted.
Have fun, man.
Crank it up, Bernard. It's early. First Direct. I'm very banky for a bank.
See you later, my friend.
Which suits me. Just your average half mammal, half bird with flippers and claws who collects second-hand vinyl. Oh, excuse me. And lays eggs. Yeah, I know. A platypus walks into a bar. I've heard them all before. First Direct, the unexpected bank.
All units are moving into position. We have the bank surrounded.
Right! This is your last chance if you want to... Sunshine? Come out now with your swimming trunks on! Pim's o'clock, people! Woo!
Everything stops for Pim's o'clock.
You fill up my... More and more people are coming home to TV from TalkTalk. And right now, TalkTalk Homes can enjoy 7 channels of brilliant entertainment from Sky, including Sky One and Sky Living, on us for 3 months. Isn't it time you joined Britain's fastest growing new TV service? TalkTalk, a brighter home for everyone.
Right, you lot, behave yourselves.
Why?
Because you're in the Tesco price promise.
No, we're not.
Yes, you are. It's not just big brands, it's fresh food and own label. So get down off that yoghurt.
Buy 10 or more different items at Tesco, and if your comparable grocery shopping costs more than at Asda, Sainsbury's or Morrison's, we'll give you a voucher for the difference at the checkout.
Oh, nearly forgot one.
One hotel, one price? Nah. So many websites have a different price. But with Trivago, you find the best one. Hotel. Trivago.
The best people to recommend our cars don't work for Kia. We don't need to wax lyrical about our 7-year warranty or the performance of our new Proceed GT. We rely on honest opinions from over 6,000 real Kia owners. Our cars speak for themselves. A wave of customers speak for us. See what they're saying at kia.co.uk. Kia, the power to surprise.
Robson Green uncovers the industries and communities of the North.
There is something very special about this location.
We worked hard, we played hard.
We weren't this country's best, we were the world's best.
These were wonders of the modern age.
How the North was built, Tuesday at 9 on ITV.
Oh no!
Come on, down, down, up.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Well done.
Well, the peloton at the moment are freewheeling away from Malacen, and very shortly there'll be a little bit of a downhill and they'll go into the beautiful town of Bédoin. And anybody that knows the area knows that once you're in the town of Bédoin, you're leaving it on the Giant of Provence, Mont Ventoux.
Well, Phil, I just did a quick calculation on the points classification there. There's 99 points separating Peter Sagan from Mark Cavendish in that competition, because Cavendish picked up a couple of points when he crossed the line just behind Andre Greipel.
Yes, it's a big gap, and for the sprinters now, it's eyes down and survive, because after the rest day tomorrow, we go journeying through the Alps right to the Swiss borders, and realistically, I think the next sprint will be in Paris itself when we finish in the dark on the Champs-Élysées. It's going to be very, very interesting to see that as we circumnavigate the Arc de Triomphe with the yellow drapes and lights on it. That's the climb. Well, if you're not a climber, you just about had enough when you see that. It just goes on and on. That's the last 5 kilometers of the climb when it breaks onto the barren moon surface, leaving Chalet Reynard to the summit.
Well, its nickname in the region here is the Bald Mountain, 1,900 meters in altitude, as we now see a changing of the guard in the peloton, and it's Team Sky trying to dictate their pace, trying to put Chris Froome into a good position at the start of this climb, and I wonder how long and how many riders will be able to stay with him. We know many of the riders on that team are nursing injuries. Geraint Thomas says he's getting better day after day. Peter Kenyon from the Isle of Man, I think, will be one of the last men standing. I think he's recovered from his accident a couple of days ago in the Pyrenees, and he looked to me to be riding very well on the first Pyrenean stage.
The length is incredible now, and this is a huge turn by this is really taking the bull by the horns now by Team Sky. They've got rid of the Spanish riders who were dictating the pace, and they're bringing them at high speed towards the town of Bédoin. It's a couple of kilometers away yet. The last 21 kilometers are on the climb of Ventoux, through the banners for the King of the Mountains and onwards to the actual finishing line.
Well, 12 months ago, when Bradley Wiggins was leading the Tour de France, everyone was scared of this tempo that Team Sky would dictate. It would almost asphyxiate the climbers in the main field. But talking to Dan Martin the other day when we went through the Pyrenees, he said, what we've proven today is you don't have to be scared of Team Sky anymore, because we're very, very prepared to go out and make the attacks. Andy Schleck is on the wheel of Jens Voigt, just over on the left-hand side there. He's a guy who, over the last couple of days, has been looking better and better, and I'm sure he's wanted to do something in one of these big mountain stages. Why not follow in the wheel marks of Charlie Gall, the great Luxembourger who won here back in 1958.
David Lopez on the front here, but look at the face on Jens Voigt on the far left, just in and out of our picture. He's gritting his teeth to try and put Andy Schleck into a position to go forward with Chris Froome. There he is, the German rider on the left, 41 years of age. There used to be a rule you couldn't ride professionally over 40 years of age, but the riders have become so fit for so long now, they've had to scrap it.
Well, the first man to benefit from a changing in the rules was, in fact, Joop Zoetemelk, who was allowed to participate in the World Championships when he was over 40. So that's where we're going. 1,912 meters, as you can see. The white color of the rock, which is dated at 95 million years of age, is a limestone rock as well, which explains the bright white color. These are the riders who almost immediately as we started are getting dropped. There's the winner of yesterday's stage, Matteo Trentin. Just in front of him, Gert Steegmans. In 189 is Sven Tuft. And we haven't got to Bedouin yet. This is the small climb before Bedouin, before we actually see the start of the climb in earnest.
Well, as we start to look around the peloton, Paul, clearly now they are on the climb, but this is not the climb of Ventoux. There will be a descent into the town of Bedouin before we hit the slopes of Mont Ventoux itself.
Yeah, so they'll have a slight downhill, Phil, and I think what you'll then see is we'll line ourselves up for the 21-kilometre to go sign at the side of the road, and psychologically, if you're not a climber, that's not a lot of fun.
Cavendish here knows the inevitable is going to happen sooner or later, so why not make it sooner? This is a false little climb before we descend again, but already the speed set by Sky has split the field up. Those boys are going back into what we call the autobus. This is Ryder Hesjedal, the Canadian who has a cracked rib, and he's had a very painful talk, letting go very early on the climb today.
Yes, I think a lot of guys here, Phil, are just going to take a little bit of a back seat.
Well, just sitting up there, it looks like it's Jack Bauer, the Canadian, in the blue jersey of Garmin Sharp. He's also going back in his first Tour de France. There's the flag for Canada on the right.
Phil, I don't suppose this would be the right time to tell these guys going off the bat that we haven't actually started the final climb of the day. This is just the hors d'oeuvre.
This is. There will actually be a short descent into Bedouin, but Sky have decided to stamp the rhythm out and thin the peloton out, and it is working.
One of you get that yellow box. Where is it?
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
I've got it, never mind.
I like things a bit offbeat, me. So I bank with First Direct. Afternoon. They do things differently. Terrifies the local cats, that one.
Vehicle reversing.
They're not into that automated recording malarkey. You get through to a friendly human who just gets things sorted. First Direct, the unexpected bank.
A credit card with no interest to pay on purchases. Yes, no interest. Not just for 6 months or 12 months, but for 18 months. And when you spend, you get club card points. Treat yourself to a little something extra. No interest to pay on purchases for 18 months and club card points? Well, that's a bank thinking like a supermarket. Very nice.
DVDs, memory cards. We want to store life. But before storing memories, first, you need to live. Renault Capture. Capture life.
This is Virgin Media's super-fast fibre optic broadband, and this is regular broadband, out of shape. These people are about to download a film. Let's see which broadband is quicker. I wonder. Richard's turned up. They're off! Well, one of them's off, the other is, according to my legal team, 4 times slower. And there we have it, film downloaded. He's a big lad, isn't he? Still going. Oh dear. Search Challenge Your Broadband today.
At Wickes, we know when you take pride in your work. It's the details that make the difference. Wickes Ultra Gold High Performance Wood Screws have a posi square stick-fit recess designed for greater control and stability, and a waxed finish for a smoother drive. Try them for yourself. A range of screws fit for professionals. We're proud to say it's got our name on it. Wickes.
Hello. I am Confused.com, the fastest insurance comparison robot in the world. But you can call me Brian. Right. I've run your details through my extensive circuits, resulting in a saving of £225 on your car insurance.
That's all right, though, isn't it?
Who is our daddy?
I don't know.
Bye-bye.
Confused.com. How may I save you?
Pounds.
A hotel in Barcelona. Something like this, but for 2 people.
Come on, more stylish.
Okay.
This one is perfect. Is there a pool?
Yeah, there is.
Trivago compares over 100 websites to find you your ideal hotel at the best price. Hotel? Trivago.
Racing, tricks, news and views.
BMXers, commuters, mountain bikers, this is the show for you.
The ultimate show for cyclists is back.
That's an exciting time to be involved in cycling.
Sum it up to one word. Mega.
Brand new The Cycle Show, Mondays at 8 on ITV4.
From the back, guys, from the back.
From the back, from the back.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
That's it, nice and quick.
The crowd here in Bédoin is unbelievable. Tens of thousands of people as Sylvain Chavanel goes past the banner, 20.8 kilometres to the top of Mont Ventoux. He takes a drink and he's heading up. He's just left the breakaway behind. He's going for it alone.
Well, TJ Van Garderen also being tailed off the back end of the main field, obviously paying for the efforts of yesterday. So too Johnny Hugeland there, the champion of Holland, as the group now goes past the 20.8 kilometres to go to the banner. 20 seconds advantage for Sylvain Chavanel.
From this group who aren't chasing him now, they're surviving. They don't expect to do anything now except get to the top. This is the time trial champion of France for the 5th time. That's a French record. As he pushes on to try and beat them all to the top. He's not any concern to Chris Froome and the rest of the leaders. He's lost too much time.
Yes,
but they'll in fight with him now.
Yes, 14 minutes and 57 seconds has been lost by Sylvain Chavanel, but what he's thinking about is just trying to stay off the front end of the main field and survive on a day which is extremely important for the French this afternoon, Bastille Day.
Jeremy Roy, the Frenchman in the breakaway now, unhitched going backwards. Chavanel sees 20 kilometres to go. If only it was on the flat, he's thinking to himself. 20 kilometres and there's no respite now, and he gets steeper. Sagan sits up. He's now surviving to the finish. What a great day he's had, though, taking maximum points in his green jersey competition on the road, and now just has to ride to the finish. No more pressure.
Well, that's Merkel Irizar from Radio Shack taking up the pacemaking behind Chavanel. Chavanel has already got himself almost a 30-second advantage over the men who were in the breakaway with him just a little bit earlier. The fact that they're moving all of these cars out of the gap is an indication that the main field is coming along very, very quickly. Konstantin Sivtsov is the rider on the front for Team Sky. Behind him, it's Ian Stannard. It's still a minute and 3/4 back to the main field, but the group, or what remains of the group, which is actually exploding on the early slopes of this climb, are only about a minute in front of them. It's now Stannard doing the pacemaking. Behind him, Lopez. They want to keep this pace nice and high. They want to look after Chris Froome for as long as possible. Well, that's a bit of a shock. I'm hearing that Pierre Rolland, the king of the mountains, has been dropped.
Well, as they start to break up now, we just say goodbye to Andre Greipel. This is a 20.8 kilometre climb here, and Pierre Rolland in our lens is not enjoying it at all. The king of the mountains is being tailed off as well.
Well, that's a bit of a shock there, Phil, because he's ridden so well. There is the leader on the road, Sylvain Chavanel. He was in that breakaway of 9 riders. He's a strong time trialist. It's going to be a tough call for him to survive on the slopes of this climb, though, because we're still looking at a good 19 kilometres to go to the top.
Well, this just dropping off the back is Pierrick Fedrigo. He was in the breakaway. He's gone. So's his teammate, Jeremy Roy. The break, as expected, has more or less imploded. Just this little group of riders. Daryl Impey on the back there, the South African. And riding a little bit stronger on the front is Wouter Poels. This is the orange bike. Many of you say you don't like the colour, but there it is. It was given to Sylvain Chavanel as a birthday present in the first week of the Tour. He is the lone trailblazer on Mont Ventoux. These 4 riders were in the original break, but now they're surviving, not worrying about where Chavanel has gone. It's about 25 seconds around the corner.
This could be a problem. Look at the flags, the Danish flags over on the right, because we actually turn around like a corkscrew around this mountain, and as we get up towards the summit, the riders start to get a very stiff and strong headwind. That will actually nullify the accelerations. It will slow down the accelerations of the climbers. Real pure climbers like Quintana, they like a tailwind climb, and that will go against the Colombian today.
This is Irizar here, pacing Christophe Riblon, and I think he's going back up towards Sylvain Chavanel, who's just in front of that car. There he is, down there with his coattails flaying in the wind. Camera pulls back, there they are. So they're trying to return. They've completely disintegrated the brake. As we now go down, this is Lopez. He did a lot of pacemaking, Paul, and he's paying the price.
He's the second Sky rider to disappear, because just a little while before him, Geraint Thomas disappeared off the front end of the group, off the back end of the group.
Well, it's Peter Kenyuk at the moment who's setting the pace for Sky, and he was Sivtsov at the moment on the front there, is it? Yes, it's Konstantin Sivtsov, the Belarusian, who's setting the pace at the front, and he was a rider last year, crashed out early on and was a big loss to the team. Now we know why. The fans are incredible today. Estimations around 300,000 people in the next 20 kilometres of the Tour de France today. And they're all cheering a Frenchman on Bastille Day. Now, you don't need much more of an inspiration than that.
One thing, Phil, about this mountain is it's written some incredible legends over the times that the race has been up here, but the people have come out in their thousands, hundreds of thousands today to witness what they think is going to be a massive big showdown. Number 91 down there with the yellow number on his back is Alberto Contador. The question mark is, can he take back more time on Chris Froome, or is Chris Froome in the yellow jersey sitting in about 8th position there at the front of that line? Is he going to take more time over his rivals?
Question which will remain unanswered, I think, for about another 5 or so kilometres. Once we get up to Chaly Reynard, that's the last turn off this mountain where you can go in a different direction, but the riders will go left. They'll break the tree line into the place where nothing grows. Sagan has been dropped and is being picked up. It's so typical of the man, so typical of him. Had a great day out, see you later. He's in no danger of being eliminated. He's going to ride up this mountain happy as a sandboy today.
I have never actually ever seen anybody pull a wheelie like that in the race. I've seen Rory McEwen do it at the end of a bike race when he's crossed the finishing line in the mountains, but that really was a show.
Yeah, as Paul Sherwin says, the only man that does that was Robin McEwen, who used to celebrate topping the mountains. This man's happy at the bottom of them.
Let's not forget, when we talk about Peter Sagan, for 23 years of age, he really is an incredible racer. We're going to be talking about Peter Sagan for the next 10 years.
I reckon, well, you might be, yeah. Here is Riblon. Flag of St. George of England on the left. There's a lot of English supporters here, a lot of British supporters. Now, Sagan's just going to ride now. That's all he intends to do. He doesn't have to worry about being eliminated. He's on the climb of Ventoux, 16 kilometres. There's slightly more to go.
Well, his job.
This is Ra and Fedrigo going back as well.
Well, Sagan's job done for the day, Phil. A hard way to get 20 points, but for him, those 20 points have now given him a 99-point lead in the points competition, which, after the yellow jersey, I think is probably the most demanded jersey, the most sought-after jersey. It represents the most consistent rider in the Tour on stage placings.
Yes, I don't think they can get it off him now, but it is theoretically possible. The peloton dragging their way up here and closing in on the remnants of the break.
Yes. Now just going through the small town of Saint-Colombe. But this is, by the way, just for your information, these roads were closed to traffic this morning at 8 o'clock. So anybody who's got here has had to leave their cars a long, long way away and actually ride their bikes or walk to a point out on the course like this. Chavanel leads the race by 1 minute and 35 seconds. He's got 2 chasers, Merkel Irizar of Radio Shack and Christopher Reblon. They're about half a minute behind him.
Chris Froome looking cool on his forward right shoulder, the rainbow rings of the world champion. Just behind the world champion, 2 riders back, and on the shoulder of Chris Froome is Alberto Contador, the great pre-race favourite and the other pre-race favourite, I guess. 2 of them side by side.
Well, Christophe Reblon there in wearing number 89. He's won a mountain top finish in the past in the Tour de France. He won the Axe Trois Domaines back in 2010, and that was after a long breakaway. But he started the climb with a much bigger advantage than 1 minute over the main peloton.
Still a big peloton here, which indicates to me that pressure has not gone on yet. They're riding it. These boys can handle this pace. On the right-hand side of our picture, the lime green colours of the 2 top riders in the Belkin Pro team. Lawrence ten Dam and Bauke Mollema, 2nd and 5th overall in the Tour. Today they said, Paul, we'll give it a go and see if we can maintain our high places overall. Simon Clark just peeping into our picture, number 183 when you see his number. Orica Green Edge, he had ambitions, I think, of winning the King of the Mountains, but I'm not sure he can this time.
Just look at the size of that group now, Phil. We started this race today with 181 riders. Yep. There's a few riders up the road at the moment, but there are not very many riders left in this group, and it's nice to see Andy Schleck still riding very close to the front of that pack.
Sylvain Chavanel, an awful long time in the lead before he got to challenge Mont Ventoux today. He's got plenty of support in France. It's their special day, and they're not celebrating a stage winner so far in this year's Tour. This is the 15th day of the race.
Yellow jersey has still got 3 teammates with him. As this, I'm just blown away by the crowds who have walked for miles and miles to get to the side of the road here and enjoy the Mont Ventoux. And that, sadly for Sylvain Chavanel, that's where we still have to get to.
We're still in the tree line, still comparatively sheltered. We get to Chalet-Reynard, we turn left, we break away from the trees and go into a moonscape. And it's very, very steep, and then again the crowds continue. This is Daryl Impey here. He's come off the back of the breakaway. For 2 days, the leader of the Tour de France, the first time ever by an African cyclist, as he drops back into the bunch.
Well, he'll have a lot of support because further up the mountain there's a lot of South African supporters who've come over to see the Tour de France. As we see number 44, Tony Galopin, doing a pretty good job to stay still in contact here. The French are shouting for a Frenchman at the front on Bastille Day, Sylvain Chavanel, but he holds on to a 1.5 minute advantage. He's a very good individual time trialist. He's been the champion of France 5 times in that discipline, and he's also been the champion of France on the road as well, but he's never been an accomplished climber. "15 kilometers to go." He finished in 20th place overall in the Tour a few years ago. That was back in 2009. He's held the race leader's jersey on a couple of occasions as well. This is the second group on the road. Reblon and Irizar. Irizar is the rider closest to us, riding for Radio Shack. They're actually losing time now to Chavanel, 46 seconds.
Well, as the next 2 riders come up, they're pulling away. It looks as though we've seen the last of Konstantin Sivtsov. One by one, Paul, Sky are shedding their men.
Yeah, they've got this tactic. Last year it worked to perfection. There's only Peter Kenyuk left there. Richie Porte, as far as I can make out, with a quick hand catching.
Well, as we continue, it's 1 minute 20 now, and there's a change of leadership at the front of the pace as we look at the pictures here now. We've got Sky has started dropping the men, but the yellow jersey of Chris Froome still has Richie Porte around him, and I think also Peter Kenyuk. Interesting to see that Philippe Gilbert is still in this group. Cadel Evans is still there, but they've lost the services of TJ Van Garderen. He has been dropped.
Well, they're putting serious pressure on this race once again. That was Jan Bakeland going away there from the Belgian on the Radio Shack squad, but you can see the damage that's being done at the rear end of the field.
The big challenge of the day is for our cameras to show us where everybody is with this crowd on the road here. There's not much road left for racing on. Just looking down on the track here at the moment. This is Rui Costa, just gone through picture. Pacemaking being set now by, it looks like, Tony Martin on the front just at the moment. The time trialist doing what he can.
Well, he's doing that for his own teammate there, because sitting right on his wheel was Michael Kwiatkowski. He's the leader of the Best Young Rider competition, but just 34 seconds ahead of Nairo Quintana.
And this is the back jersey here of Sylvain Chavanel as he pumps the pedal. He's still ahead of all the chaos behind. This is Irizar and Riblon. They're the next two riders on the climb. Remember, they're from the original breakaway. Now, looking down, number 1, Christopher Froome now, and is going to be challenged. Number 121 is Alejandro Valverde, the man that had the bad luck. He sits behind Froome at the moment.
But behind him was number 91, and that's Alberto Contador. This group is really getting slimmed out as we get through the tree line, as we start to continue forward.
Well, Irizar is sat up here. 107. Oh, this is somebody.
This is Bakeland.
I take my hat off to Jan Bakeland doing a ride like this. At the moment, he's giving it a little go. Calm before the storm, though, I think. 68 seconds. Gone back to 105 as we talk. The gap is consistently changing here. This is on the steep section now. 49 is Jaimar Zubeldia.
Well, slipping away there was Ruben Platzer. Also Movistar, let's not forget, have done an awful lot. That was Tony Martin just going back.
Legs locked completely there on the climb.
Well, Movistar have sacrificed themselves, Phil, throughout the early part of this race to make sure that that breakaway didn't get too far up the front end of the main field. All they can do now is hope to survive. 2:01.
Wout Poels, he was in the breakaway, he's gone. Here's Voigt-Clay, he's coming forward, or hopes to be. He's going as well now.
He's just taking his radio earpiece out there, doesn't want to hear any more of the bad news that's going on.
Meanwhile, swinging up to just ahead of that breakaway, this is Jan Bakeland, the man that made a name for himself on day 2 of the Tour.
Oh la la, Andy Schleck has just gone out of the back. Look at this.
Schleck has cracked big time, and he was hoping to go up with the top 20 today.
Well, it just gives you an indication of what sort of pressure is being applied to the front end of that group. And I tell you, when the lights go out on a climb like this, it's very, very difficult to get yourself moving again.
Very, very difficult. Andy Schleck into the cobbles there, and in all sorts of trouble, and there's still an awful long way to go to the summit. 14 kilometers to climb to the end of this stage.
Well, this is quite interesting because Riblon has been dropped, and now we've got Bakelants and Irizar together going up this slope. I have to say that Jan Bakelants is a phenomenal find this year in the Tour de France. That's Bakelants in second place.
Yeah, and this I think might have been a plan, because Irizar was expecting Bakelants to join him here. Now this is the leader on the road at the moment. We're on possibly the steepest climb. It gets a little bit steeper towards the finish. Over 10% the gradient now. Peter Velits now setting the tempo on the front with Kwiatkowski.
Still got 2 teammates alongside him, number 3 Peter Kenya, and then number 6 Richie Porte. Chris Froome just sitting, he's on the defensive for the moment. Now there's another move coming from Euskaltel.
Now Euskaltel, Euskadi, they won't be marked riders just for the moment, just checking over to see if he's got a little bit of a move here. This time it looks as though the peloton are getting control under the tempo of Peter Velits on Omega Pharma Quickstep, trying to keep their young rider in that white jersey.
Well, Andrew Talansky's in this group somewhere. We've heard his number mentioned over race radio. Peter Velits is doing a phenomenal job at the front, while still Sylvain Chavanel holds on to around about a 55 seconds advantage over the front end of the main field. He's not going to survive, but I tell you what, he'll get a lot of column lengths in the newspaper tomorrow.
This is Jan Bakeland, but this Spanish rider coming up behind here on the Euskaltel-Euskadi team, and I expect it's possibly Oroz, or one of the Izagirre brothers. As we swing back to the back, it's goodbye to Christophe Riblon now. He was in the breakaway, also Irizar, they're both in the breakaway, straight through this elite pack. Out of the back now, also Daryl Impey here.
Simon Clark.
I beg your pardon, Simon Clark, yes, the bit surprised to see Simon, the first Australian to win the King of the Mountains last year in the Vuelta a España.
Well, Cadel Evans moving up, number 31. There you can see number 91, Alberto Contador, sitting on the wheel of the yellow jersey, just waiting for a moment to move.
Dan Martin also riding just a little bit off the pace of the yellow jersey, but on another good ride. He won the second day of the Pyrenees, remember.
Well, let's not forget the young Irishman is in 11th place in the overall standings, looking for a 5:52, and a lot of those riders only separated by mere seconds.
Still all the cheers for a Frenchman on Bastille Day. Look how low his gears are now for Sylvain Chavanel.
This is a phenomenal performance here by Bachelot. It's at Nieva. He was a rider who rode exceptionally well throughout the Pyrenean stages. He's a youngster on the way up. First Tour de France for him.
Well, he won't be a marked man just at the moment as he continues up this climb.
Well, he has the lone leader has a 26 seconds advantage over Mikel Nieva. And in fact, they're opening up around about a 30-second advantage over the yellow jersey group.
16 minutes 50 seconds down, Nieva, as he starts his attack to recoup a little bit of his lost time. But you know, over the next week, if he rides well in these mountains, he could have a nice climb up the overall classification. But to take my hat off to Sylvain Chavanel here. Great time trialist, great workhorse, trying to win on his birthday in the opening week of the Tour, setting the tempo up Mont Ventoux today.
Well, there's 12 kilometres to go to the summit. That's still going to take them, Phil, close to 35 or 40 minutes of climbing still left to go. And we haven't yet gone out of the tree line. Here's Quintana. This is the move.
Now look at the look round. Bellis looks round to see is anybody going to counter this move, because now we've got Nairo Quintana. Quintana's made his move. He's gone a long way from the summit, Paul.
And there is absolutely no response in the main field. This guy has got an incredible tempo on the climbs. He comes, as I said, from the region of Boyacá in Colombia. He was born at the altitude of 3,000 meters or 10,000 feet, and he has no fear of climbs like this. Sylvain Chavanel's been caught.
He's been passed by Nieva here, and Jan Bakelants is struggling. In fact, he can't hold Mikel Nieva. Now let's see if Quintana can cross this gap. They obviously just couldn't react to that because they saw him make the move and he's gone early.
Well, Phil, the question is not let's see if he can get across the gap, it's how quickly is he going to get across the gap. Because this youngster at 23 years of age, I think, is the next climbing star of the future.
He's looking for 5 minutes and 18 seconds to become the next leader of the Tour de France. Just watching Garcia drop off the back now. It's Philippe Gilbert, the world champion, but he's not a great climber up these hills. Also losing ground. He's lasted quite well, I think, on the climb today.
Yes, but they'll all be wondering how fast is Nairo Quintana going to be coming across the gap. This is a very, very difficult climb. There's still 40 minutes of climbing, I estimate, to go till we get up towards the finishing line. There is Quintana in the distance, just catching and passing Sylvain Chavanel, and he doesn't even look as if he's breathing.
His face never gives any impression of how his body feels. He just sits there and pedals. He is a peddler of charm, that's for sure, as he continues to cut through the riders ahead. He's very short. He's got to cause concern. A little bit of a gamble being done by everybody else now.
Well, the thing on board Team Sky now, Phil, is do not panic, because if you panic, you push yourself into the red zone and you can't recover. It's no point trying to chase down Nairo Quintana. He's such an incredibly talented climber. The best thing, I think, for Team Sky in the yellow jersey to do is limit his losses.
Well, in the Pyrenees, of course, Quintana did the same, but he went a mountain too soon. And Chris Froome reached him and got rid of him and won on his own. Now this finishes right on the top. There's no more mountains today. As we watch here, Mikel Nieva. Keep your eye over his shoulder. You'll see the black shadow coming through. There he is, ploughing through the motorbikes.
Well, he's looking to write his name into the history books here with a win at the top of this legendary climb. He looks so easy and so comfortable on that machine of his. He's sat very high up. That's the way climbers very often do. They don't get down into a low-profile position.
Chavanel's cracked. Peter Kenyon pacing Port and then the yellow jersey. 3 skies against a flying Colombian.
Sitting behind the yellow jersey is Alejandro Valverde. He lost himself 10 minutes in one stage and plummeted from 2nd overall down to 17th place overall. He is so happy with this situation, and they could be turning the books around. I'm not sure that Quintana can take back 5 minutes on a stage like this, but who knows when we get up to the top of this climb.
He's left the space to do it, Paul. 7 miles and 12 kilometres to climb. There he is. He's now through the field. He's now blazing the trail here up Mont Ventoux. We turn into the barren landscapes with about 5 kilometres to climb. It's going to be tough now to get to the finish line for Chabanel.
Well, that's a shock there, going backwards. Igor Anton. Alberto Contador is ensconced in that group. He's sitting right on the wheel of the yellow jersey, just on the far side. Where's number 91? He's having a look at the man in front of him, number 1, Chris Froome, to see if he can see any signs of weakness. And if he does, he'll take advantage of it.
I think Contour and Kreuziger are waiting for their moment to hit Chris Froome here. They're waiting for it to be nearer the finishing line when we break out onto the moon surface itself. He's just watching and waiting, but they're all taking a calculated gamble here. They clearly can't match the acceleration of this rider Quintana in his first Tour de France, but he came here with a big reputation, as he's now 11.5 kilometres from the summit. Very shortly we'll be up towards Chaly-Reynard, which in the early months they have sometimes a race up here, Paris-Nice. Chaly-Reynard is as far as you can get up before you have to go down the other side, because the snow line starts there. The road isn't used in the winter.
Well, there's 15 seconds gap now between Mikel Nieve, who leads this race for Euskaltel-Euskadi, and the second man on the road now, Nairo Quintana.
Peter Kenyuk, what a fight he's been for Sky in this year's Tour de France. Rode a brilliant race.
You've got to bear in mind, Phil, it's not important to chase down Nairo Quintana for Chris Froome on a day like this, because looming on the horizon, we've got another important individual time trial coming back, and Chris Froome knows that he is superior in the time trial. So if he loses some time today, he has a chance of pulling it back in the time trial in a couple of days' time.
True, but there are 2 second category climbs on that time trial, and he said he thought the flatter one suited him better. We'll see. That's still to come. 39 seconds is the gap back to Chris Froome. He's looking for just over 5 minutes.
Froome has still got 2 very strong teammates alongside him. Right in front of him, Richie Froome, taking on board that energy gel. Peter Kenyuk, who we saw riding in the mountains of the Pyrenees, was exceptionally good, although he had a bit of bad luck when he was taken out by rider Heyserdahl and ended up in the ditch at the side of the road, and he was injured for a couple of days. Cadel Evans sitting at the back with his teammate there, number 36. That's Morabito.
So we're looking here at Cadel Evans, already suffering now. Steve Morabito has been a pretty strong rider. TJ Van Gordon cracked very early on this climb.
Just noticed Dan Martin and Andrew Talansky dropping to the back over on the right-hand side.
Oh, dear me.
It's a long way to go still.
For Cadel, Paul. Not when he leaves a teammate in the bunch. Cadel is really struggling here.
Well, 6 seconds is all that separates the Colombian climber Quintana from Mikel Nieve of Euskaltel-Euskadi here.
It says a lot for Nieve, the way he's climbing just now. Holding him off just for the moment, but he's still coming.
Well, it was actually in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge in Colorado that we started to see Colombian cyclists coming back to the top of international cycling. In the 1980s, with riders like Lucho Herrera and Fabio Parra, they were very, very dominant in these big mountain stages of the Tour de France and the Vuelta a España. But now I think we're starting to see the renaissance of Colombian cycling, and certainly Nairo Quintana, at 23 years of age, is one of that group.
Well, the only question remains, has he gone too early? He's looking for 5 minutes to become the leader of the Tour de France, but I'm not so sure he's going to get 5 minutes today, but maybe starting a week of getting the lead away from Chris Froome. We'll find out if he's gone too early, Paul. The mistake is most certainly what he made in the Pyrenees.
Yeah, but the Pyrenean attack was slightly different. I think that was a bit of youthful enthusiasm on that occasion. He attacked 2 climbs from the finish. This kind of rider, this kind of climber, he's got the energy to sustain this kind of rhythm on one single climb, and that's what he's done now. And he's looking at about 10 or 11 kilometers to lead this race. And if he wants to pull back a big chunk of time, you have to attack further away from the finish, because if you wait until you get close to the finish, you're only going to grapple 15, 20, 30 seconds. This guy's looking for 5 whole minutes.
Well, Cadel Evans is being nursed along here by Steve Morabito, his teammate, just trying to keep him in touch with this extremely select group of riders here on the peloton. Andrew Talansky, the American who shot up the overall standings yesterday with a 3rd place finish, just the last man of this yellow jersey bunch. Just coming back towards the peloton now, Jon Bakelants. He's had a tremendous Tour de France.
Well, he's a big revelation, and I would think there's a number of teams knocking on the door at Radio Shack to try and sign him up for next season. 2 days in the yellow jersey. And, of course, only one professional stage victory to his credit, Phil, and that was a stage in the Tour de France, and it was this year.
Yes, it was, and it earned him a yellow jersey. Well, Contador, very typical of him now. He's waiting for an acceleration when he feels the time is right. Just trying to move on the outside of Chris Froome. I think he got pushed out a bit there.
It's very, very difficult to judge how Chris Froome is holding himself in the race. He never really looks all that comfortable on the bike. He's a very tall rider, but I did notice he was turning a very low gear, so that's a good sign.
Quintana continuing up the climb there. 10 kilometers to go for Quintana. Bakelants has just gone back into the group. This is a good time not to panic for Team Sky. At the moment, there's only 1 man up the road they're worried about. He is not that far ahead, less than 40 seconds in fact. So there's no reason to panic yet. They should be more concerned about, can Contador attack? Can Alejandro Valverde try to join his teammate up front? And what about the 2 Dutch riders? We haven't seen anything of them yet. Everybody's just waiting until we get into the really wide open area outside of the tree line when we're racing through what the French like to call Les Caillasses, or the rocky section.
Yes, who was that?
Where is he?
Woo! Oh, I nearly had him. Oh!
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Allure Homme Sport au extrême, Chanel.
Over the last year, we've helped more than 60,000 customers with their mortgage needs. We've also helped over 6 million people save for what really matters. To find out how we can help you, come in and see us or visit lloydstsb.com. Lloyds TSB, for the journey.
Lynx Deep Space Shower Gel. Shower like a hero.
In a way, this egg is like your teeth and gums, with hard and soft surfaces that need different care. The new A1500 Pro Clinical toothbrush from Colgate with unique smart sensors automatically adjusts. So you get massaging strokes to clean the gum line, sideways strokes for teeth surfaces, and up-down strokes for molars.
It automatically adjusts for a superior clean. The new Colgate Pro Clinical Electric Toothbrush, superior clean for teeth and gums. Now half price at most Boots stores.
Every kick, every try, every fingertip save. BT Sport is free with BT Broadband. And now the UK's most popular broadband is £10 a month for new customers. BT Broadband customers can watch BT Sport for free online and on the Sky digital satellite platform and keep their existing channels. BT Sport is coming soon. Call us today on 0800 200 700 or visit bt.com/freesport.
We all want to get on with our lives, which is why at the Cooperative Insurance we keep things fair and simple while still giving you great value. Like 10% off car insurance when you buy online, as well as being able to add our top level of breakdown cover, which includes Home Start for just £34 in your first year. For insurance you can be sure of, go online or call our UK call centre on 0800 115 115 for a quote.
One hotel, one price? Nah. So many websites have a different price. But with Trivago, you find the best one. Hotel. Trivago.
Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3. Summer at the seaside, running round the low tide, looking on the bright side, chip shop folks. Kick about together, gas about the weather, giving it some leather, real support. Long drives at the weekend, country lanes and S-Bends. Bring along your best friend at 80s groups. The best spot at the campsite, brewing up at first light. It must have been a good night. Muddy boots, laughing until you're tearful. It's more than just a vehicle. A reason to be cheerful. Going home, sweet home.
It is carnage out there. We've got hundreds injured, 12 dead.
13 dead.
He looks a bit, looking a lot more like revenge than diminished responsibility to me.
The new series of Law and Order. Tonight at 9 on ITV.
He's got 1 minute to go.
Oh, goodness me! Quick, get him!
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Dan Martin just off the back of the group here now as he climbs up for the Garmin Sharp team. The Irishman just trying to keep a very, very select group. Only Richie Porte survives from the Sky team now, and he's doing a tremendous team job for Chris Froome. Did I say Richie Porte and Chris Froome just setting the pace in tandem?
Yeah, Richie Porte out of the saddle. Concentrated time trial formation for him this afternoon, with Froome just sitting in second. 162. This is Robert Gesink going backwards.
Well, Gesink always promises a lot and can't quite deliver.
Yes, but he's got his two team leaders in the front group just ahead of him. Bout Mollema in second place in the overall standings is still there, and so too is fifth place Laurens ten Dam.
These are the men setting the pace. Two first-timers in the Tour de France. Nieve of Euskadi at the back, and this little flyer from Colombia, Quintana. Richie Porte is trying to just make this pace hard enough to stop anybody going up to join them. Contador sitting on the wheel of Froome. You just get that impression he's waiting to have a go. And is Valverde cracking here, because the gap has opened up?
Also starting to crack just ahead of Alejandro Valverde was number 101, and that is Joaquim Rodriguez.
Well done to the pace-making of Porte, because he's hit at Valverde. Now, Valverde's not the threat he was. He was second until that broken wheel a couple of days ago. He's no longer a threat, but it's a good sign that Porte is setting a great pace.
The turquoise jersey there is Jakob Fuglsang. He also is going off the back end of this group. We're having a serious distillery here, because we're now down to just 4 riders.
Kreuziger and Contador. Oh, Saxo Tinkoff, and the other two are Porte and Froome. Well, actually, this is looking rather good for Chris Froome just now, thanks to the selfless working of his friend and his partner in Richie Porte.
Well, just 2 riders left with the Sky train there, and it looks a little bit as if Contador's cracking now. Contador has gone off the back, and Roman Kreuziger is the rider to remain there. Oh, it's
Kreuziger who's gone. Contador's hanging on, but they were only separated by 3 seconds, those 2 riders overall. A little bit surprised to see Kreuziger go. That says just how quick Richie Porte is going. He looks over his shoulder and thinks, crikey, everybody's gone.
Yes, but look at the gap to the two leaders now. It's suddenly come down to 31 seconds because of the pacemaking of Richie Porte.
Well, take your hat off to Porte. The team have done a great job here now. Kreuziger swings across. He's looking for help here because Laurens ten Dam and Wout Mollema are here. The riders in second and fifth place overall. And that is significant. 164 is Mollema, and he could be losing his second place. Contador is moving up behind Chris Froome in the overall tonight right now.
Look at the different climbing styles. A Contador preferring to climb very often out of the saddle, dancing on the pedals the way he does. But this man now is on his own. He is now... No, he hasn't.
No, I thought he got away there too, Paul.
Well, that was a little kick and just opened up a length or so. We're still looking at 7.8 kilometres to go, and Richie Porte has pulled that gap down to about 15 seconds.
He knows what he's done. He knows the damage he's done. He looks over his shoulder and just suffers a bit more. And he's only got Contador left now. That is incredible bike riding by Porte, and he really has done Chris Froome a favour now. Well, as we watch here, the man carrying the hog there, we are seeing this rider break away. He's free to fly now on his way to the top. First Tour de France, never won a stage. He's certainly going to be in the white jersey of best young rider, but can he get the gap? Because look at the pacemaking by Porte. He's back to 15 seconds.
Yeah, but look at this group. They haven't laid down arms either yet. It's now Joaquim Rodriguez on the front in that red and white jersey and wearing number 101. These guys are very much on the back foot. Number 81 is Jean-Christophe Perrault. He's the best placed French rider in the group, and he's holding his place in the overall standings by staying with these guys.
He's the only French rider in the group, and he will continue to be the best French rider in the Tour de France. This is Fuglsang, dreaming of a high finish. This is Rodriguez, who was once tipping himself to be a podium finisher in Paris. This is now Porte has gone, Froome has attacked, and Contador's got to hold on. Look at the revving of Froome. Now this is what happened in the Pyrenees, and he picked up Quintana and he blew him away.
He has
and
blown
now
away.
He's gone.
Contador has gone as well now. This is an unbelievable... He said he didn't want to ride a waiting game in the Tour de France this year. He said he wanted to go out and attack the Tour de France, and this is what he's putting things to right.
Now a great job done by Richie Porte on this occasion. Now Froome is free and away. He's off in search of the rider from Colombia, Quintana, who is still up the road. Contador has cracked. The whole team has blown away.
Phil, there are still 7 kilometres to go to the summit of this climb. Alberto Contador now, I think, will be very happy to have Mikel Nieve alongside him to pace him a fraction. Chris Froome has never raced on the Mont Ventoux before. He doesn't know how to handle this climb, but he's almost got right across the gap to the Colombian. I'm amazed at this.
But he has trained on it a number of times. He knows what he's going at. He's now bringing himself right up alongside Quintana. This is what happened a week ago in the Pyrenees. Froome came up and blew them all away and won the stage and took yellow. A week later, he's at it again.
Well, he has said he was itching to get back into the mountains, and this is why, Phil, because he knows he's used his team. His team rode well today until Richie Porte did the last turn. The challenge came, as we expected, from Nairo Quintana, but Chris Froome is almost back onto the wheel of the Colombian climber.
Now, what is going to happen when Froome comes up here? Quintana knows he's coming. Is Froome going to wait a few deep breaths, or is he going to go straight by and see what happens? Well, this is how it happened.
Yeah, this is how it happened. Richie Porte had done his turn for the day, and he knew that Chris Froome was going to take over the pacemaking. These two have worked like this. Froome has gone
straight through, and he builds up the revs again. Quintana this time is kicking after him, though, but can he get onto this back wheel?
Look at the way his legs are going over so rapidly. This is a guy who was also born at altitude. Let's not forget, he was born in Nairobi at 6,000 feet in altitude. He's not scared of these dizzy heights either.
He has this amazing pedaling cadence, the way he accelerates. It looks as though his saddle is too low.
Yeah, it does look like that. That's because he's such a tall figure. Quintana has recovered a fraction, and he's getting himself back to the wheel of Froome.
Well, all of a sudden, all change at 6.3 kilometers from the summit of Mont Ventoux. And look at this. This man from Bogota, from Colombia rather, this time is fighting his way back. They're picking up for the moment a tailwind, but it changes direction a little bit. A British-Columbia tandem on Mont Ventoux. There's still a long way to go on this climb.
I think we're still looking, Phil, at about 20 minutes before we get to the top of this climb. Contador and Nieve and second and third and fourth place. This crowd is amazing.
Well, Nieve seems to have found his legs again there. This is Kreuzinger's group with Fuglsang as well. Also with Wout Mollema, who is second overall, but will he be second tonight?
Well, Quintana's not scared at all of the reputation of Chris Froome, and he's quite happy now to come forward and do some of the pacemaking. But these two are doing some serious damage with 5.8 kilometers to go to the top. This is a slightly easier gradient the riders are picking up here, Phil, around about 3 or 4%.
5.5 at the moment as they on this little slope here. And this will be a chance to recover, but Froome is quite happy to set the tempo here. He's got no concern for Quintana at the moment. Quintana could recover on this little bit of false flat. 20 seconds behind Alberto Contador and Mikel Nieve. There they are. Yes, deciding a new order at the Tour de France, talking to each other as they can in their own language, Spanish.
Well, if you want the next group on the road with the other riders, Kreuziger, they're around about 50 seconds behind the two leaders.
And the flag's indicating the wind right behind the riders just at the moment. That may have well have come to the rescue of Quintana there. As he picked up that tailwind, he was able to get back up to Chris Froome.
Well, I've got 24 seconds, they're saying now, is the gap. Richie Porte, well, he'll just try and survive the final few kilometres. His job done for the day this afternoon when he set up that very violent attack coming from Chris Froome.
And this is where we will find Kreuziger, Fuglsang, Laurens ten Dam, and this rider here, Wout Mollema, who started the day in second overall, struggling just a little bit at the moment, but hanging on.
Well, Perrault started the day in 9th place in the overall standings. He'll probably move up a place tonight because Michael Kwiatkowski, who led the best young rider competition, he's disappeared from this group.
Well, if Froome can hold this to the summit, the Tour de France are going to lick their wounds tonight on the eve of the second rest day, heading into the Alps as we are, and they're losing time on Mont Ventoux to the leader of the Tour. 5 kilometers to the summit.
And Alejandro Valverde has recovered a little bit here on the easier section of gradient in the middle part of the climb here, and he's just managed to come back to these guys.
Yes, 164 and 167, the top two riders in the Belkin team behind Froome, second and fifth overall at the start of the race. Now that is Chris Froome using his microphone to talk to the team car behind, probably asking what damage is being done.
Well, he wants to know what the time gaps are. He wants to know if the other groups chasing him behind have got any energy left to try and close down the gaps. Well, I can tell him that behind him at 24 seconds is Alberto Contador and Mikel Nieve as they go under the 5 kilometers to go banner, but it's 1 minute and 13 seconds back to the other group with all the other contenders. Well, they're actually saying it's 45 seconds now. A little chat going on here between Nieve and Alberto Contador. They need to combine their efforts if they want to make sure they limit their losses on the slopes. The wind is now starting to pick up and batter the riders.
Well, we've seen Contador, Nieve chatting in second and third. We've seen Froome chatting on his microphone back to the team. This is a crucial stage of this year's Tour de France. Waiting for them to come round the corner interview. It's about 24 seconds.
Well, for Alberto Contador, it's also important maybe to get some assistance from Mikel Nieve in the pacemaking on the slopes of this climb, because he could be moving up into a second-place position overall at the end of the day.
Well, he's certainly saying something at Nieve. Whether he's saying go faster or slow down, I'm not too sure, because they're not on the same team. But where they're fighting the common enemy at the moment, which is Chris Froome of the Sky team and the United Kingdom.
Well, Froome just sits and pedals away at that very, very high cadence of his. This is the next group on the road. They're at 1 minute and 22 seconds.
4.2 kilometers still to go. Now it's 4.1. This is the third group of riders on the road, and all of the classification men are here except Alberto Contador, who's chasing Froome and Quintana.
But it's amazing how just two riders like this have managed to put so much damage onto the race.
4 kilometers to go for Chris Froome. He's come from the pack up to Quintana. He's now doing all of the pacemaking. With every pedal rev, he is gaining time.
Well, they certainly need to get all those motorbikes out of the way, but what's interesting is Nairo Quintana here, Phil, is not showing any emotion at all. He was dropped at one stage by Chris Froome, but then Chris Froome could not continue with that effort as we start to see Froome getting out of the saddle. Quintana now is probably going to try and wait and stay in the wheel of Froome, but Froome's putting in another powerful acceleration
here. This is a huge kick again. This is another test on the youngster now from Colombia, but he looks to me as though he's recovered a little bit. As Chris Froome is driving on, he'd love to open some more time on Quintana, but primarily he wants to open the time on the riders immediately behind.
Well, the thing that's going against his attacks here, Phil, is the fact that we've got this very, very blustery, windy condition. They're picking up that headwind, and the headwind is actually slowing down the ascent for Chris Froome, which is why he can't get full speed, and the Colombian is actually taking advantage of riding uphill in the slipstream, which normally, with the tailwind, is not effective.
And he's so light, the Colombian, the wind would really hurt him. Chris Froome continues. That was a bigger push by Chris there. He's taken a few deep breaths now. This man is almost looking as though he's suffering on Mont Ventoux, but I say almost. He gives nothing away. I just have a feeling that Quintana has the legs to leave Froome before the summit. Now he's having words. Goodness knows what language they're talking.
Well, I think he's asking him to do a little bit of the pacemaking here, because both riders will be, Quintana will be moving up in the overall standings, and as far as Chris Froome is concerned, he's opening up time on everybody else who is a threat to him.
Well, Froome is now having to suffer just a little bit after that effort. He was surprised he didn't unhitch Quintana. Now he's going to have to struggle on the back wheel of the youngster for a little while longer, but together they going relentlessly to the summit of Mont Ventoux in the finest position. The yellow jersey of the Tour de France gaining time on the eve of the second rest day. There's the top. It's still a long, long exposed way to the summit.
Well, everybody talked about the weakness of Team Sky. Well, when it push comes to shove, it looks like Saxo Tinkoff blew apart as well. They're leaving Alberto Contador completely isolated too.
Yeah, the Movistar team got their man away with all their fast pacemaking through the valley below. There's Michael Rogers going through, licking his lips. Still a very select group, and Michael Rogers riding very well.
Now, Mick Rogers, a strong man. He will know all of the weaknesses of Chris Froome. He rode alongside him last year in the Tour de France, and that might be an advantage to Alberto Contador later on in the Tour.
Wout Mollema, 164, producing even so a great ride here on Mont Ventoux. He'll remain very much in contention in the overall standings, but this is Froome versus Quintana. They're separated overall by just 5 minutes after 15 days of the Tour de France. Quintana loves to climb mountains, but Froome has proved today he can control this youngster.
Well, Froome is 35 seconds now ahead of Contador and Nieve. Well, at 4 kilometers to go, it's 42 seconds between these two groups, and still no emotion on the face of Quintana.
As we go up towards the summit now, inside 2 miles to the finish, it's still a long way, and it gets steeper on the finishing line. They actually end the King of the Mountains climb. This is Richie Porte. He's being picked up by the Chase group. As they get to the top of the King of the Mountains, they still have to go round the corner to the banner, which is the end of the stage. Porte's done well
Well, he's just about to get picked up by this group, and they're doing it. It's Laurens ten Dam doing a lot of pacemaking, but this is what is slowing down the progress of the two men. Look how straight those flags are. The wind always gets up here in the latter part of the afternoon. It makes it very, very difficult. I should think they're quite happy there's so many caravans parked at the side of the road.
Yes, it's sort of helter-skelters up to the summit now on this barren section of the road. Covered in the snow throughout the winter. Nothing grows up here. This white rock has stood here for 95 million years. Well, look at the puffing and blowing of Chris Froome, but he knows with every pedal rev he's gaining a second here, a second there. It's almost 45 seconds back to the group containing Contador now.
Well, Movistar did the job out on the plains. They rode on the front for a good 60 kilometers to make sure that early morning breakaway didn't get a large advantage, so that we could have a big showdown on the slopes of the Mont Ventoux. And right now it's smiling on them, because their man Nairo Quintana, the man they had banked on to get into the breakaway, is leading this race with Chris Froome. But has he got the acceleration to beat Chris Froome at the end of this stage? Or does Chris Froome want to win atop Mount Ventoux with the yellow jersey on his shoulders?
I think that's exactly what he wants. Froome is champion here. It was on these very slopes of this mountain, a kilometre from the summit, where the British rider Tom Simpson died on the 13th of July 1967 on stage 13 of the race. And he was trying to put in a bid to become the first rider from Britain to win the Tour de France. He didn't make it, and it cost him his life. Well, now Chris Froome brings yellow towards the summit at 2 kilometres to go.
Out of the saddle, it's getting very, very tough now. You can see they've still got that long and winding road to take themselves up to the observatory on the top, as the Union flag continues to fly high.
Well, they're both extremely tired now, but again, Valverde slipping back here of the group. He's catching the crosswinds now. It's no longer pleasant at all on this exposed slope of Mont Ventoux. Look how the Richie Porte has been caught, picked up and dropped.
Michael Rogers now getting dropped with Jean-Christophe Perrault, number 81, and that's all because of the pacemaking that's being done a little bit further up by Jakob Fuglsang, and whenever it slows down at Laurens ten Dam.
One rider who's in here, Paul, who's riding extremely well, is the Belgian rider Bart de Klerk. He's still in this group.
Yeah, he struggled a little bit and then managed to get his second wind and managed to ride back up to make contact with that group of leaders.
Look at the flags of the countries, the Czech Republic as well there now. This will be an uphill sprint of about 10%. Quite frankly, it's who's got any strength left. And for those of you asking what happened to the Devil this year, you just saw him.
All dressed in yellow this season because he wants to celebrate the 100th edition of the event as well.
Another attack, another lifting the pace again, Chris Froome, but I tell you what, Quintana's got the measure this time. Chris Froome is fighting every second of the mountain on Ventoux. The acceleration by Quintana, he just never gives you any facial expression.
Don't forget, Phil, he's finally cracked. A young 23 years of age, Quintana has popped off the wheel of Chris Froome.
Froome is taking yellow to the summit of Mont Ventoux with just 1.3 kilometers to go. Now he's gaining time. He looks over his shoulder. He is seeing Quintana crack, and now Chris Froome is overall building his lead in the Tour de France over everyone.
Well, Chris Froome struggled for a couple of seasons. You know, he picked up Bill Hartier a couple of years ago when he was on holiday up in Kenya, and it took him a long time to find it. Once they did find it, then Chris Froome started to be able to produce much more consistent performances. Finally, he's done what he was trying to do. He's cracked the 23-year-old Colombian climber, but it was certainly not easy.
Well, this is where every leader of the Tour de France wants to win. On Mont Ventoux, the fabled mountain of Provence. You see it for 100 kilometers, whichever way you approach it. And now he sees 1 kilometer to the summit. Chris Froome has been under pressure. He shed them all. He caught the young pretender. He's blown him away. And there he now comes under 1 kilometer to go. He's far enough ahead to take a fine second place.
Yes, but you know, Quintana will learn. This is his first participation at the Tour de France. He's 23 years of age. Froome is at the prime age to be a top professional cyclist. He's 28 years old, and over the last couple of seasons he's learned an awful lot about himself, and Richie Porte too will be the man he'll be the first to thank for setting this up.
For 7 days, Richie Froome has led the Tour de France. An 8th yellow jersey awaits him and an increased overall lead. Yes, he conceded 69 seconds a couple of days ago when the crosswind split the field and he was left in the chase group. Contador made ground on unfamiliar territory, but on familiar territory, Contador has lost ground.
Well, just briefly there, I noticed Bauke Mollema was getting a lot of help from his teammate Laurens ten Dam. There's 15 seconds separating this man in the yellow jersey, Chris Froome, born in Nairobi, educated in Johannesburg, South Africa, now representing Great Britain.
You know, it's amazing, really. You see the wind is slightly turning. He will actually, once he's topped the climb, which is just ahead of him, he turns to the right, and for a matter of 200 meters, he'll get a tailwind to cross the line, which is at the steepest 10% gradient. Chris Froome tops out, and he gets himself 50 points here, which means he will lead the King of the Mountains tonight, as well as the Tour de France.
His gap now, Phil, back to Alberto Contador is 1 minute and 15 seconds, but Alberto Contador himself will be moving up into second place overall tonight, ahead of Bauke Mollema.
The British flag on the right of the road. Now the chase group as Rodriguez tries to move away on the left of our picture. A kilometre to go for them. No reaction. He's a specialist in the last-minute attack on a steep climb.
Well, an attempt of a reaction there coming from Roman Kreuziger, but yes, this man from Spain, Rodriguez, he has got a very good acceleration in these climbs.
Boy, it's painful, but he knows with the pain comes the victory today on Mont Ventoux, and with the victory on Mont Ventoux, a week tomorrow should come victory in the Tour de France, the second year in a row for Britain. Might be a little bit early, but today everything has gone so well. He's increased his overall lead tonight. Chris Froome will shortly flick to our left. Here it comes as he turns for the finishing line. We'll drop back down to the road at the moment. This is Perrault, best Frenchman still. Froome, the pain, but it's all to the good. Here it goes. Now we'll see the finish, and it's up a hill. Where else would it be? As he comes round the corner, picks up the tailwind, climbs and crawls and grabs his way towards the line. Chris Froome has toppled all of the men of the Tour de France today. His team set it up for him. He had the ability to finish it. Froome gets his third historical stage win in the Tour and increases his overall lead tonight.
But the man we're looking at here is the man we'll be talking about in years to come when we go into the big mountain passes, because at 23 years of age, this is a phenomenal performance by Nairo Quintana. He's lost a little bit of time on Chris Froome, but he's gained time on almost everybody else, and he'll be also moving up well in the overall standings tonight. And look at the average speed of this stage, although there's only one mountain down towards the end, 41 kilometers an hour, 29 seconds lost by Quintana. The question is, how much has everybody else lost?
Yes, only one man could beat that rider from Colombia. Now, this is the group, and look at this. Nieve's been caught by Rodriguez here, as Rodriguez does his traditional flash up the last few meters of a steep climb, grits his teeth. He's best of the rest, really, here, and is improving his overall position.
Where is Contador? Contador was in the front just a few moments ago with Mikel Nieve. He must have really cracked in the final kilometers as Rodriguez and Nieve line up for this final corner.
Well, Nieve's got him on the line here, or is Rodriguez going to find it? You're right, Paul, he's completely disappeared from sight. It must be just before the finish of the actual climb, but Nieve, who has really attacked very low down on this mountain and has hung on to finish in third place today, or is Rodriguez going to try? No, it's going to be Nieve Rodriguez.
Alberto Contador, Phil, is coming up here and he's being caught by his own teammates. There is Roman Kreuziger. Contador really went to pieces in those last kilometers.
He's gone back to his teammates. They're split by 3 seconds. They're sprinting side by side. They'll both get the same time, so they're still split by 3 seconds as Kreuziger beats Contador to the line and Fuglsang comes in behind him.
It looks like Bauke Mollema coming over. No, it's Laurens ten Dam is the next rider to come in.
That's an incredible ride by Lawrence Tendam. He's the real find. We've never seen him ride like this.
No, he's hoping to defend his 5th place in the overall standings. That's Perrault coming up now. He'll be certainly by far and away the best Frenchman in this race.
And Bart de Klerk behind, another new find in this year's Tour de France. A high finish for him on top of Mont Ventoux as well. Dan Martin has struggled through. Remember, he won day 2 in the Pyrenees. This is going to be a very rewarding climb by Dan Martin. Michael Rogers up front first of all. Valverde just behind, then comes Dan Martin. It's always time that counts, not position. And Martin will accelerate a little bit up the overall tonight.
Yes, well, they certainly have rocked it upside down. There's Richie Porte. That was the man who set up the victory for Team Sky and proved that after one bad day in the Pyrenees, his Tour de France was not over, because he's still got a V8 under that bonnet.
Well done, Richie Porte. He really set Chris Froome up today. What a tremendous situation that was.
Well, plenty more riders still to get up to the finish line. Just there is Robert Hessink.
Just over 3 minutes as Robert Hessink arrives. There's been lost. Kwiatkowski comes up. Still a good ride for this guy, but I'm afraid it won't be enough. Over 3 minutes lost to Quintana. He loses his white jersey. The face of Chris Froome.
Chris Froome gets the victory. It's his 2nd victory at the Tour de France this year, and he extends his lead in the overall standings. It looks as if, in fact, Bout Mollema probably just held on to 2nd place there, 4:14, and that's all because Alberto Contador cracked down towards the end. Contador then in 3rd, Grutziger in 4th, Lawrence Tendam 5th, so no real change there. That's the stage result. And look at the time gaps. Chris Froome leads Quintana by 29 seconds at the top of the climb, and 1 minute and 23 seconds back to Mikel Nieve and Joaquim Rodriguez. Michael Rogers crossed the line in 12th place at 2:26. Dan Martin, with that ride today, provisionally I've got Martin climbing up into the top 10. This was the attack, and this was the response by Alberto Contador, trying to stay in contact with Chris Froome, but he just went ballistic at this point. An amazing turn of speed as he goes up this climb. Well, the Mont Ventoux once again on the 14th of July has seen a massive big battle, a legendary win by Chris Froome. He wanted to win in the yellow jersey at the top of this climb. And the overall standings currently probably looks a little bit like this. Bout Mollema now at 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Alberto Contador, who started the day in 3rd place, is now still there, but at 4:25.
Well, so much for all the pre-race punditry and the speculation about who might do what to try and get time back on Chris Froome. Nobody had the legs, and he takes not only an historic stage win on Mont Ventoux, but possibly the race overall.
Well, I don't know, actually. I mean, I think today was a fantastic show of force, certainly. On the climbing territory, we know he's good there. But again, we've got days where we've got mountains all day, and it's still possible to isolate him. That said, he's building himself just to such a tremendous lead now. Not only have they got to get away from him, they've got to get away from him by a long way.
Yeah, and the only man who was anywhere near being his equal, and we should give him a lot of credit, he was the one who started things off, Nairo Quintana.
Quintana, actually, I mean, that poker face is incredible, isn't it? And I honestly thought he was going to get the sprint there, but he just bluffed it and bluffed it. In the end, he just cracked, and boy, he lost quite a chunk of time in just over a kilometre.
All right, talking of a kilometre, we're about a kilometre from the summit that you can see behind us down in the technical zone. So interviews are going to have to be run down or fed down. We are hoping to hear from Chris Froome, though. In the meantime, we'll take a break.
Dad, can you revive me? Can you revive me? Right, I'm at Red Bull.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Alexander and Sergei, Bogdan Maya and Vasily, Jakob and Alexander again, and Sergei.
To collect
Meerkat Toys, buy or renew insurance or get credit card, so compare the market.com.
The new Peugeot 2008 crossover. See the city in a different light.
New Lynx Deep Space Shower Gel. Shower like a hero.
Linda Turner. You're our kind of person. There's no color you can't match. No DIY disaster you can't divert. You're always giving extra to shoppers in need. From the green-fingered to the power-hungry, everyone benefits from your help. You'll never tell someone where to go unless they ask you where to go. No job is too big or too tough. You're not satisfied until the customer's satisfied. If anyone's giving extra, it's you, Linda. And at Halifax, we think people who give extra should get extra back from their bank. That's why Linda switched to Halifax, the UK's best current account provider. Linda, you've nailed it.
A hotel in Barcelona. Something like this, but for 2 people.
Come on, more stylish.
Okay.
This one is perfect. Is there a pool?
Yeah, there is.
Trivago compares over 100 websites to find you your ideal hotel at the best price. Hotel? Trivago.
It's perfect. Absolutely thrilling cricket. History is made.
Allure Sport au extrême, Chanel.
At Wickes, we know time is valuable, so you need quality materials that won't leave you waiting around. Wickes Flexible Rapid Setting Tile Adhesive is fit for the most demanding jobs and ready to grout in just 2 hours. Try it for yourself. A flexible tile adhesive that's fast enough for the professionals. We're proud to say it's got our name on it. Wickes.
Get you some, baby, get you some.
Not everybody can be a roughneck. Their lives are in my hands.
Shut it down.
I'm proud of these guys.
There's Oral, Texas team.
Black Gold continues Tuesday at 8 on ITV4.
Come on, Matt.
Where's... Oh, it's over there, it's over there.
I've got him.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Hey, John.
There's the salute of a man who has taken his second mountain stage win in this year's Tour, and perhaps the Tour de France overall, although there's still a big week to come in the Alps, so let's hope there's still more to come in this race. There is the stage result. Christopher Froome in a time of 5 hours, 48 minutes, 45 seconds, 29 seconds ahead of the brilliant Nairo Quintana. Mikel Nieve led in Joaquim Rodriguez. They were third and fourth, a minute 23 down. Roman Kreuziger led in his fading teammate Alberto Contador at a minute 40 down. Jakob Fuglsang was seventh at a minute 43. And Bauke Mollema, second in the overall standings this morning, was at 1:46 with his teammate just behind him. And Mollema is still second, but the gaps have gone out. 2 minutes 28 this morning, 4 minutes 14 now Chris Froome's lead at the top of the standings. Alberto Contador is still third, but he's gone from 2:45 to 4:25. Then it's 4:28 for Roman Kreuziger, 4:54 for Lorenz ten Dam. And Nairo Quintana has also lost time, but the least of anybody. He's at 5:47, ridden himself up to 6th, past Jakob Fuglsang, who's down to 7th. Joaquim Rodriguez up into 8th. And of course, Quintana now has the white jersey. Michał Kwiatkowski has faded away in that competition, but we'll talk about the white jersey later. What about the yellow jersey? I know you said before the break the Alps are still to come, but it's not the Alps where people need to attack him, it's everywhere else, because going uphill it looks as though nobody has the match of Chris Froome.
And I think that's the missing ingredient, really. Probably the one that I completely got it wrong for today's predictions. They'll all go away, and this guy will not be playing in the final. But of course, he knows the strengths and weaknesses of his team as well. So he needs to make the most of every opportunity when it finishes uphill to grab some time to increase his lead. So he's got more insurance if he is attacked on the other stages where there's mountains all day and he could find himself isolated. And he did a fantastic job of that today.
And looking at him there crossing the line on his own kind of underlines the fact that perhaps we were making too much of teams. Teams are all very well in the valleys and on the flat, but when it comes to the climbs, you're either the strongest man or you're not. And Movistar put in an awful lot of work on the flat today to no apparent effect. Well,
obviously they had faith in Quintana and they thought that he could do something, and he certainly had a go. He really livened up the climb for us, and he looked very strong out there for a while. And it was Porte who really did for him. He slimmed it down over 1 kilometre to get it to just 3 of them left in play. So I think that was really the card they were playing. It was a very long day's work for that one attack, though. They could have all come to the bottom of the climb together and done the same thing, but have more bodies to play. So an interesting one. I'll be looking to see some of the interviews to see just what the thinking behind that was. Yeah,
of course this stage is Nova. Riders still coming in as we speak. Pierre Rolland, the King of the Mountains, has come in 8.5 minutes down. Cadel Evans was also over 8.5 minutes down. And look, there is Andy Schleck, Chris, a man we thought was going to have a good Tour de France, at least ride well in the mountains, over 10 minutes on this stage alone. So safe to say, I guess, that he is not back to his best as we hoped he might be.
Well, it's very hard to know what he can actually do with this Tour now. He's not riding in the climbs, he can't time trial, and I can't really imagine him getting away in a breakaway. So it must be a pretty difficult place for him to be right now, and trying to work out how he can salvage something from this Tour de France.
OK, so going into the rest day, everybody at least has a bit of time to rest and regroup and think about what to do in the coming weeks. Do you think a lot of people are really going to be looking at the general classification and say, OK, how far can we move up behind Froome? Or are they going to be looking at attacking Froome? Because it seems to me the way that podium's starting to bunch up, people are going to be riding for second and third place.
Well, it is starting to bunch up, isn't it? I mean, Mollema and Contador, 11 seconds between them. Contador to Kreuziger, 3 seconds within his own team. Quintana is just 1:23 off that second place now. So I think you're dead right where we were a week ago today. I think we're going to see a lot of infighting for podium places, and that in itself is going to be an exciting conversation.
Yeah, now,
exciting thing to watch.
Big day for the French, of course. Exactly. We know what you mean, Chris. Big day for the French today, Bastille Day. This man got into the 9-man break early on. He tried to go away on the early stages of the climb. He was never likely to stay away, but chapeau to him for animating the stage and giving it a go and giving the French something to cheer about.
Well, I think he, like many others, read the stage the way I did. The GC riders aren't necessarily going to want to chase anything today. The sprint team teams have got nothing to go for. Ergo, if the breakaway goes, it could get a huge chunk of time, and he's a very, very good climber in his own right. So if he gets himself into a breakaway, he could do something with it. It's just this curious Tour de France the last few days. They just chased all day, and that was just not something that anybody was expecting, least of all Chavanel.
Yeah, poor bloke, when he was starting to fade, not that he wouldn't have got caught anyway as a helicopter goes overhead and deafens us. It was Peter Velits trying to lead Mikhail Kwiatkowski in the white jersey, actually helping to pull him back, two of his own teammates.
Yeah, he was just stuck, really, wasn't he? He was part of Plan A, and Plan B was already starting to come and overtake him. So nothing he could do about it, really. He had a good day today. I think that was the only cards that they could play. They've ridden very intelligently, really. They've got a few stage wins, and that's because of clever riding like that.
Yeah. Now, we saw Joaquin Rodriguez trying to have a little sprint up the hill with Mikel Nieve coming in. And really, that's all we've seen of him. He's been an invisible 10th to this point. He's now, what, an invisible 8th. That's the 20 seconds we've seen him in so far this tour. Bit of a disappointment, doesn't have the legs, apparently.
Absolutely not. I think we're seeing some new faces really coming forward, aren't we? And Kwiatkowski is very, very interesting. Quintana, we're seeing new names coming forward, and some that look to be on the way up have kind of stalled, and I think he's one of them.
Yeah. Dan Martin didn't try any heroics today, stayed calm, rode his own race, lost some time, but I mean, he's looking pretty well. He's placed 10th overall, so he's having a very respectable tour, and presumably will be targeting the Alps in the last week to either to move up or get another stage win.
Well, he's staying close with his 10th, but because his time to the leader's going off, it means that he's got the opportunity to attack with that bigger time gap. So I think we will see some activity from him. We saw a lot of the guys who chose wisely to just back off in the lower slopes of that climb, ride their own pace. They actually limited their losses quite nicely, and so I think he's riding a pretty intelligent race.
18:48, 18:49 on the clock as the remains of Nairo Quintana and Alejandro Valverde's Movistar come in. Few other riders in there too. Who was the Sky rider there? Number 7 looks like Konstantin Sietsu. Sky, they had men on the front until the foot of the climb, and as soon as it started going uphill, it was really just Peter Kenyuk and Richie Porte, wasn't it?
Well, I rode some of those roads on the approach to Bedouin this morning on the way to the climb. Very, very twisty, and I suspect that's exactly what Sky were doing, really. They were just keeping their riders safe and just getting through all that twisty descent to get to the bottom of the town, to make sure they were safe, to make sure nobody was going to attack them before the climb.
All right, now then, riders still coming in. No news of Mark Cavendish. He'll be in the autobus. As far as we understand, they've got their calculations right today, so they should be inside the cut-off time limit. But we'll take a break and update you on that, and also bring you the podium presentations.
Yes, got one.
Got one? Good lad, good lad.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Good girl, Phoebe. Nice and calm today. Karen, I've got a cat with no pulse here. I need adrenaline and an IV line. Quick as you can, please.
See you tomorrow.
Rain and shine, the pick stay on my mind. Stash low on the beats, got an ounce of kind. BA, believe that I'ma go for mine. Till I'm next up, gotta get my cash.
Nissan believes technology turns a drive into a ride. Nissan Juke with Google Center Car.
Banks haven't always been there when businesses need them most, which is why we've come up with more ways to reach us than ever before. You can now talk to us on Saturdays and from 8 to 8 on weekdays. Face-to-face meetings can be arranged at our office or even yours. And our mobile banking app means you can run your day-to-day business finances wherever you are. NatWest. Ahead for business.
At Wickes, we know that achieving a professional finish comes from making a professional start. All Wickes SDS and masonry drill bit tips are made from high-grade tungsten carbide that stays sharper for longer, for a precise professional job every time. Try them for yourself. A range of professional power tool accessories that's made to last. We are proud to say it's got our name on it. Wickes.
A hotel in Barcelona. In a good central location. So yeah, something like this, but for 2 people.
With separate beds?
Sorry.
Come on, more stylish.
Okay.
More like it.
No way.
This one is perfect. Is there a pool?
Yeah, there is.
Trivago compares over 100 websites to find you your ideal hotel at the best price. Hotel? Trivago.
Did you know over 95% of the nation's most watched TV programs are available subscription-free and all in one place? Switch to Freeview and get over 95% of the nation's top telly. Free from contracts, free from subscriptions. Freeview. How good is that?
Welcome to the Man Manual. Instructions for the modern man. Man's armpits are a groundbreaking achievement of design. Warning, failure to look after man's armpits may lead to malfunction. Maintain them properly using Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. It's tough on sweat and protects skin with a quarter moisturizer technology. This leaves man's armpits multi-splendid. Dove Men Plus Care Antiperspirant. Tough on sweat, not on skin. Also, improve odor protection with new Silver Control.
At Sainsbury's, we know you love your home, and a good deal. That's why with home insurance from Sainsbury's Bank, you'll get up to 50% off if you have 5 years claims free. And now, we're offering 5,000 bonus Nectar points when you buy new combined buildings and contents cover direct from Sainsbury's Bank. Just call 0800 260 0777 or search online for sainsburysbank.co.uk.
Racing, tricks, news and views.
BMXers, commuters, mountain bikers, this is the show for you.
The ultimate show for cyclists is back.
That's an exciting time to be involved in cycling.
Sum it up in one word. Mega.
Brand new The Cycle Show, Mondays at 8 on ITV4.
Get him! Yeah! It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, that is today's winner, Chris Froome. And if you are just tuning in, where have you been? The stage is over. Actually, not quite over. Half the field has yet to come in today, but the key men are in. And Chris Froome has come home at the head of them. There we go. Chris Froome takes the stage win ahead of Nairo Quintana. Mikel Nieve third at 1:23. Joaquim Rodriguez fourth with him. Roman Kreuziger led home Alberto Contador. They were both at 1:40. Jakob Fuglsang lost 1:43 on the day, and Bauke Mollema 1:46. Mollema, though, stays second, as he was this morning, but his gap goes out from 2:28 to 4:14. Contador remains third, but his disadvantage goes from 2:45 to 4:25. Roman Kreuziger is at 4:28, Lawrence ten Dam at 4:54, Nairo Quintana at 5:47, and closing on some of the men in front of him, if not on Froome, Jakob Fuglsang is seventh now at 6:22, and Joaquim Rodriguez getting himself up into the top 8. He's at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. So, Chris, seeing the pictures of Chris Froome there, we know he didn't need to win the stage. Dave Brailsford won't necessarily have wanted him to win the stage, but with all the talk of, you know, corporate Team Sky riding like robots and having no panache, doesn't do
Not
any
today.
harm to have a swashbuckling leader who just looks at his rivals and says, right, I'm off, and takes the most prestigious race, well, perhaps apart from Alpe d'Huez, in the entire Tour.
Some fearsome attacks from him today, and very entertaining for us. He certainly is not riding just to limit things and to just be careful and cautious. That was real flair today. And I think Movistar really did him some massive favours today. They brought him to the bottom of the climb. He was going to attack anyway. He was going to try and grab as much time as he possibly could. He said that last week, actually. And today, because they got him to the bottom of the climb, he took the stage win as well.
And I think what must have been demoralising for Alberto Contador as much as anyone else, when Froome went, he stayed in the saddle. Contador got out of the saddle and made absolutely no impression.
And went backwards, yeah. No, very, very low-geared attack by Froome, and it was a fearsome one, and 3 times he did that on the climb. Very, very effective. And it's a very different style that we saw from Bradley Wiggins last year, who was hard and fast, but one-paced, and Froome, well, you can't call him one-paced, could you?
All right, let's get over and see Chris Froome, stage presentations, and he'll be up there a couple of times, not only for the yellow jersey, but also for the stage win.
Well, he's recovered. As you can see, Chris Froome now on the podium.
The proud British flags fly, and Chris Froome steps on the podium and salutes the crowd. The first British cyclist to top Mont Ventoux ahead of everybody. He's done it wearing the yellow jersey of the Tour de France, and he's increased his lead tonight.
Well, I just remember, Phil, what he said before the start of this Tour. He said, I'm not going to ride a calculated Tour de France. I'm going to race this Tour de France. I want to be aggressive. I want it to be a race with panache. Well, that was certainly panache today.
The 2 characters of Chris Froome, Jekyll and Hyde, a vicious competitor, and then as polite as he can be as he shakes hands with the dignitaries on the top of the mountain.
There was a big battle, though, with Quintana, but you see how he didn't panic when the young Colombian attacked. He kept his team together with him for as long as possible. First of all, using Peter Kenyon, and then after that, losing Richie Porte.
Yeah, well, Froome gets the stage, and he's now by 29 seconds over Quintana, 1 minute 23 Oniev. Further down, 1:23 for Rodriguez, and Kreuziger was at 1:40. At the same time as Alberto Contador, who finishes in 6th place. He loses 1:40 as well, remember, Contador. That's a big gap. And the rest, Mollema keeps his 2nd place overall, despite conceding 1 minute and 46 seconds. Dan Martin, 14th on the stage today, by the way. 2 minutes 36 his deficit. Froome is now back on the podium for his 8th Maillot Jaune. He's led for a week. He conquered it in the Pyrenees. He started off with a sigh of relief there. He's now started his journey through the Alps in similar vein.
Well, he had said he was itching to get back into the mountains, and now we know why. And he started today with a 2 minute and 28 second advantage over his closest rival. Now he's got a buffer of 4 minutes and 14 seconds as we go into the 2nd and final rest day.
Happy days in the Sky Hotel tonight. Tomorrow's a rest day. They're giving a press conference in the morning, and that'll be a happy press conference for them now as they explain how he's increased his overall lead. The team has done good. The man in the blue shirt shaking hands first is Bernard Hinault, 5-time winner of the Tour de France and the last Frenchman to win. Well, absolutely unbelievable. Let me remind you of the overall standings. And Froome now leads, as Paul Sherman has said, by 4 minutes and 14 seconds. Contador at 4 minutes and 25. Kreuziger 4:28. Amazing really, Paul, but the top 5 remain the same despite being in battle.
Yeah, but look at number 6, and Nairo Quintana at 5:47. What a bolt of the overall standings he's made. Fuglsang in 7th place. A little bit further down, Andrew Talansky in 13th place, and Dan Martin of the same team, Garmin Sharp, in 11th, looking for 8 minutes and 28 seconds.
Even though Valverde yo-yoed a bit today, he did climb up the overall a bit more. Cadel Evans was probably the day's biggest loser. He's now a quarter of an hour behind the leader of the Tour de France tonight. Andy Schleck himself losing a lot even further back. And, well, Richie Porte, he's half an hour down, but boy, he's been worth his weight in gold to the race leader. He's back again because, as we thought, Paul, He has now got the lead in the King of the Mountains as well.
Well, a little bit by default, really, Phil, because he's got 83 points now, Chris Froome, to 66 points for Nairo Quintana, who moves into second. And dropping down, Pierre Rolland will drop down into 4th place in that competition.
Yeah, this jersey, in fact, when we resume, will be worn by Mikel Nieva, because he's 3rd in the competition. But Quintana, who is in 2nd, is the new white jersey of the Tour, the young rider. So they've all had themselves their own prize list tonight. Plenty of Union flags fly as the polka dot jersey now on the shoulders of Froome.
Yeah, and it's become such a chanceless competition over the past few years, hasn't it? Men who just go out and get the easy points. It would actually be great to see the winner of the Tour claiming the polka dot jersey. Why not? If he's the best climber and he's going to do it again in the Alps, have them both.
Well, he's doing a good job of demonstrating that he is, isn't he? And I think over the recent years they've played around, haven't they, with the point structure, and now it's very heavily weighted towards major climbs, double points, and I think deservedly so. You know, to win a stage like this, you've got to be one of the best climbers, and it seems like a just way for it to happen, rather than the best person who can stay out there all day and mop up the bits.
Now then, there you can see in the autobus, 32:30 the time. Mark Cavendish and the rest of the sprinters, that is a pretty big autobus. We had about 84 or so riders in before. I'm not sure the other 80 or 90 are in there, but a large group, and it's always good to have a large group on a mountain stage, because not only can you do the calculation, but you also know, even if you're outside it, the commissaires aren't going to chuck out half the race.
Well, yeah, I think you're definitely going to find some reason to keep everybody there. They will have had a pretty tough day today, because when it's going that fast, you know that if you get dropped, you're in serious trouble. So they must have been really relieved when they got to within sight of Mont Ventoux, because then it flips the other way. The very fast average means that the horse delay is going to be very big.
Yeah, now one of the men we were expecting to probably be dropped sooner or later from the general classification is still hanging on to 2nd place, Bauke Mollema. Matt's in the queue to speak to him.
Bauke, that was... Things like this, do you look unbeatable in the GC?
I think so. Yeah, I think he had a... It's a really big gap now, but yeah, I'm satisfied with my performance today, so that's you know.
Bauke, that was a very fast stage with one of the great climbs in world cycling at the end of it, but you seem to have got through it and you're in 2nd place, so...
Yeah, I'm happy with that, but well, it was a really hard stage. It was full gas from the start. Yeah, I didn't understand why the Europcar guys were pulling so fast all day. That made it hard. And yeah, the last climb was yeah, really long, and halfway I got dropped when Port when Port went really fast, and then from then it was full gas till the finish.
Are you surprising yourself, Bauke? You must feel fantastic being in a podium position in this Tour de France.
Yeah, I'm really glad. I think I hope to keep at least this position before the start today, and yeah, I did it, so I didn't lose too much time on Contador and Kreuziger, so that's good.
And Froome and Quintana seem to be the best climbers here. Would that be your assessment?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think, well, I didn't see them too much in the final, but I think they were strong.
Bauke, good luck to you. Thanks for speaking to us.
Well, I'm sure he feels fantastic overall, coughing a lot there, understandably, after that ride up to the top of the Ventoux. Bauke Mollema still holds 2nd place, although he's now slipped 4 minutes 14 seconds behind Froome, and acknowledges that he's not going to be able to catch the race leader. Alberto Contador 3rd, Roman Kreuziger 4th, Laurens Dam 5th, Nairo Quintana 6th, Jakob Fuglsang 7th, and Joaquim Rodriguez 8th. Well, he's been a busy man since the stage finished, up on the podium, getting 3 different jerseys, or rather the stage winner's bouquet and the jerseys of race leader and King of the Mountains leader. But he's ready now in the interview zone, and he's with Ned.
The 100th Tour de France, Mont Ventoux.
in the yellow jersey on Bastille Day. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Has it sunk in?
I didn't imagine this. I mean, this climb is so historic. It means so much to this race, especially being the 100th edition. I really didn't see myself winning this stage today. I thought I'd have to surrender the stage to Quintana in the final, but my main objective was to try and get more of a buffer on the GCE, but I really didn't sort of see myself winning that stage today. I really can't believe it.
Did you expect Quintana to make the move as early as he did? I think it was 12.9k or something. Was that the move you were expecting?
He's a really strong climber, and I did expect him to go a little bit further out, but I wasn't expecting it to be that hard to try and catch him. Yeah, as I said, I mean, when I did catch up to him, I thought this guy's going to win the stage today, and I'm going to have to just settle for whatever advantage I can take on the rest of the guys. But in the last 2Ks, I think he started fading, and I had a little bit left. But
it looked like there was a conversation between the two of you. Was it something along the lines of whose stage is it going to be?
No. I mean, we talked a little bit. Just I was just trying to motivate him and say, come on, man, let's just keep pushing on. We're getting more of an advantage on the guys behind us, and he did actually. Hats off to him. He started working with me, and the two of us started working. But the last 2Ks, he just I don't think I even attacked. He just couldn't really hold the wheel anymore.
Yeah, interesting to say to hear Chris Froome say that he thought Quintana was stronger than he was. Certainly didn't look that way.
Well, it motivated him to go and do some work, and they gave him a good kick in at the end, so you might be regretting that a little bit now. Oh, OK, I'll work with you. Yeah, and that's how it happens on climbs like this. You only have to just overextend slightly when you're at altitude, and you really get hit hard if you go too fast. So I think that might have been what happened. Maybe he'll learn for later stages and get himself a stage win. He certainly deserves one.
Are we looking, I mean, assuming that we're looking at this year's Tour winner in Chris Froome, are we looking at a future Tour winner in the man who's back in the white jersey now, Nairo Quintana?
He's certainly looking at a very serious bike rider. I think he's got some work to do on his time trial. He lost quite a bit of time in that previous time trial on the flat, so that needs to be cleaned up. His climbing ability is very, very clear. His tactical ability seems to be good, and so is his technical skill when they're in the crosswinds. So he's got most of the package. He's a young lad. It'd be interesting to see how much more he can develop. This will have given him a lot of confidence, I think.
Yeah. Michał Kwiatkowski, of course, is his chief rival. We saw Peter Velits trying to lead him out, but he knows he's not as strong in the mountains, and although he's a better time trialist, the time trial in the final week is a mountain time trial.
It is, and that should close the gap, but I don't think he's going to be happy with the lead that he's got in that competition. We're going to see him pushing on to try and take some more time, and from what we've seen today, I think that's a very solid bet.
All right. Now then, we saw the mighty Peter Sagan staying out front in the break group today in order to get the green jersey points at the intermediate sprint, then pulling a wheelie when he finally gave up and the break caught him. We may well see him, now that he's in on the podium, getting the green jersey after the break.
You will never find me! No, he's in the blue, he's in the blue!
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
It was a normal night.
Are you alive?
I turned the music up.
And?
I quit my job.
Are you alive? Fuel for Life Spirit, a new fragrance for men by Diesel.
I used to be a cat. Every day the same. To me, everything was just, yeah. Then it hit me. Why not be a bit more dog? I mean, look at the world today. It's amazing. Carpe diem. It means grab the frisbee. Maybe we should all be a bit more dog.
Be More Dog. Start now at bemoredog.com. O2.
Hey, Mango, let's give that a go.
Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango. Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango. Mango, mango. Mango, mango. Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango.
I wonder what they'll actually taste like.
Rubicon. Love the exotic.
Thanks. I'll pick it up later. I like things a bit offbeat, me. So I bank with First Direct. Afternoon. They do things differently. Terrifies the local cats, that one.
Vehicle reversing.
They're not into that automated recording malarkey. You get through to a friendly human who just gets things sorted.
Have fun, man.
Crank it up, Bernard. Really? First Direct. I'm very banky for a bank.
See you later, my friend.
Which suits me. Just your average half mammal, half bird with flippers and claws who collect second-hand vinyl. Oh, excuse me. And lays eggs. Yeah, I know. A platypus walks into a bar. I've heard them all before. First Direct, the unexpected bank.
We all want to get on with our lives, which is why at the Cooperative Insurance we keep things fair and simple, while still giving you great value, like 25% off home insurance when you buy buildings and contents together. And for those emergencies like broken boilers and burst pipes indoors, you can add home emergency cover for just 12 pence in your first year.
You make me happy.
For insurance you can be sure of. Go online now for a quote at cooperativeinsurance.co.uk.
Right, I've got a new song for our customers. I call it Committed to You.
We're committed to saving you money and dedicated to saving you time.
It's got chills. Is it him?
I mean, we're not a double act or anything. That doesn't even work, look. It's not even a proper piano, it's tiny.
Let's go fishing.
Pacific Rim, only in cinemas.
Robson Green uncovers the industries and communities of the North.
There is something very special about this location.
We worked hard, we played hard.
We weren't this country's best, we were the world's best.
These were wonders of the modern age.
How the North was built, Tuesday at 9 on ITV.
I'm gonna come save you in a minute.
I'll help.
Are you helping me? Thank you.
It's all about teamwork. ITV's coverage of Le Tour de France is sponsored by Wii U.
Now then, the green jersey presentation has finally taken place. Peter Sagan has wheelied in. Actually, I don't think he wheelied over the line. That might have been a bit too much. But he is in the green jersey, Chris, and he is going to stay there.
I think so. He's got all but 100-point lead over Mark Cavendish. So I think he's pretty solid. Really, he's just got to finish.
Absolutely. His biggest rival, as he said the other day, is Crash. There we are, 377 is his points total. I think from memory 424 was his total last year, which was a record, so he's well on course to beat that. 99 points ahead of Cavendish and a good 150 ahead of Andre Greipel. So Sagan in control of the green jersey, Sky and Chris Froome in control of yellow. Let's hear from the Sky mastermind now, Dave Brailsford's with Matt.
Dave, even at the end of a very, very, very fast stage, Chris is unbeatable in the mountains.
I think at this moment in time, he's the best climber in the world. I think we know that, and he's demonstrated that again today. Particularly in this type of course, you know, long, hard, flat. you know, an hour-long effort at the end of, you know, 5.5 hours, whatever it was, of riding. But to be honest, that's what we train for. You know, we train to be able to climb very, very well after 5, 6 hours. So from our point of view, this stage was made for us, to be honest, because we felt very, very confident that we'd have Richie and all the guys there at the bottom of the climb who could set a hard tempo and manage, you know, to get Chris to the point where off he went, you know.
Richie's acceleration there seemed to send a lot of the big GC guys dropping backwards.
You could sense that, though. I think, you know, he. Pete Kennock, you know, all the guys did a good job, but Pete, particularly again today, I thought he was brilliant today. You know, he did a fantastic job. But then so did all the lads. You know, you've got 7 guys there, and they all deserve a huge amount of credit for that today. But then, you know, Pete did a brilliant job. The lads didn't panic when Quintana went. You know, and all they had to do then is, you know, Richie came, just squeezed that little bit more, and that little bit more, that couple of K an hour more, was enough to put everybody else in difficulty. And then it was up to Froome then to take his chance and go. You know.
Do you even ask yourselves who the main contenders might be, the main opposition?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, I think you know, we're at the, you know, the second rest day. The hardest stage is still to come. There's only the Magnificent 7 left, and they've got to work really, really hard as a team to try and bring home you know, the victory. But there's a long, long way to go. So as we've seen already, you know, you have good days and bad days, and you can't get too down on your bad days, and you can't get too carried away on your good days. So you've got to keep it in perspective.
And on your rest days, you've got to manage it well, because that's also a difficulty, isn't it? Just getting it right so you come out of it with good legs for a difficult stage, actually, into Gap.
Yeah, tricky stage, you know, and you're absolutely right. You know, what you don't want to do is you know, get overconfident, or you've got to really manage that rest day well, and people react in different ways. So I think that's you know, it's a big deal for us, that the first day after the rest day. But we'll do our best to do what we think is best, and you know, give the staff a bit of downtime as well. I think we're all coming up here tomorrow for our own little battle. So yeah, so it'll be a good day tomorrow.
Good luck to you. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you very much. Right.
Well, we are clutching at straws if we're identifying the rest day as a possible danger. This man seems to have the race under control. He had it under control today, but as Dave Brailsford rightly pointed out, he might be the one riding to the line on his own, but when you look at the work the likes of Peter Kenyon especially put in at the base of the climb, just killed himself in order to reduce that group.
Well, Kenyon got it down over a space of a few kilometres down to a group of about 15 before he literally just parked up. Richie Port, though, over the space of a kilometre, just whittled that group down to just 3 riders left, and then we saw what happened after that. It was down to Chris Froome. So that 3 are incredibly strong, but it's the terrain that's a real challenge for them. They've got days when they've got mountains all day. There's still potential for them to be put into difficulty.
Okay, I mean, I'm almost ready at this point, and I know we did it after the first Pyrenean stage, and they came back right the next day, and we almost gave up again after the time trial, and they took time off him on the flat. So I suppose even now, with this lead and as commanding as he looks, that there may still be booby traps, but not going uphill.
No, going uphill is rock solid, and I think in some ways that everybody else knows that, and it's underlined today that they've got to use the rest of the terrain. They've got to use it, and there's still very, very close placings behind him, so there's a lot to play for. The only danger, or the only possibility, is the race gets neutralised by people infighting for seconds and thirds and fourths.
All right, we are nearly done here. Let's quickly give you the competition for today, and we'll wrap things up right after it.
Courtesy of Bourbon Bikes, you could win this Elite Series Air 9.2S road bike worth £3,500 with ultralight UD carbon fibre monocoque frame, tapered steerer and internal cable routing. The winner will also get a professional bike fitting. 5 runners-up will receive a Pro Carbon helmet worth £80. For your chance to win these great prizes, call 09012 93 10 10. Calls cost no more than £1.03 from BT landlines. Other networks may be higher and mobiles considerably more. Or you can text the word TOUR to 83366. Text cost £1 plus 1 standard network rate message. Plus, for every 2 paid entries, you'll get another one free. There is free entry at the website. Entrants must be 18 or over. Entries made after lines close on Monday the 15th of July at 5:30 p.m. will not be counted, but may still be charged.
Best of luck with that. Now, there's absolutely no rest when you're in the yellow jersey, especially when you've won a stage as prestigious as this one. Chris Froome is warming down on his roller bike, but that hasn't stopped Ned getting back to him.
Chris, right behind you, you've got almost all of France laid out. I mean, is that, it's an easy cliche, but is that how you feel right now, pretty much on top of the world? Because that could hardly have gone better, could it?
That was really amazing, really, really amazing. I mean, just the way it panned out, the way my teammates took it up, coming into the bottom of the climb, really controlled things. I had Pete Kennis at a blistering tempo at the bottom, Richie Porte pull back, Quintana most of the way, and actually get rid of a lot of my competition. They really did the lion's share of the work today, and just left me for the final part.
Did you have to curb your instincts, Chris? Because you do run slightly on instinct occasionally, and when Quintana went, was there a little bit of your fast twitch muscles that thought, I need to get after that?
When he went, I still had Pete and Richie with me, and yeah, we did have to take it up and start lifting the pace to try and close that gap down pretty quickly. I mean, Quintana's not a guy you can let go too far in the mountains.
Yeah, he is, I mean, clearly the guy who can live with you to a certain extent in the high mountains. Is he still a threat in the overall classification with the mountains to come?
I think he's over 5 minutes down on the general classification. So, I mean, bearing that in mind, but he is a very classy climber, so obviously you have to keep an eye on him.
You cracked him today when it mattered, and you crossed that line in the yellow jersey ahead of him and raised one hand in the air. I mean, it's going to take a while to encapsulate that maybe and work out what that means for your career and what you've achieved just now.
This is huge for me. I mean, this really is, I think, the biggest win I've ever had, you know, on a stage like this. And Bastille Day, 100th edition of the Tour de France. I don't think I can fully come to terms with that.
And Chris, you're ticking them off on this tour now. The big tests, the big days, one by one they're falling. That's another one out of the way. You must feel like it's at least within touching distance now.
Definitely. I mean, I know we've still got the hardest week of racing still to come, but I really feel the morale's great in the team. We're really up for fighting for this. I mean, it's going to be hard to get all the way to Paris in the yellow, but I've got some great guys around me, and we're going to do everything we can to hold on to the yellow.
And the French will acknowledge, I think all of the cycling world should acknowledge now that today was done with panache. Would you agree? Would you take that compliment?
Thank you very much. Thanks. Yeah, I'll take that.
Cheers, Chris. Well
Fantastic.
Funny, isn't he? Usually riders' personalities are expressed on the bike, but there's Chris Froome, incredibly calm, calculated, polite, understated, but so swashbuckling on the bike, and such a violent effort when he goes. Perhaps all the more violent because he doesn't get out of the saddle to make it necessarily.
No, the incredible, almost sprint efforts while they're going uphill, wasn't there? I mean, I think what we also had creeping in there was some confidence, because he wasn't going to say a threat, somebody who's a classy bike rider, so he is starting to feel confident with the gap he's got now.
OK, and is everybody else now riding for places behind him? And if they are, how do you see those working out? Bauke Mollema, we've barely spoken about him, but he's still clinging on to second place. Nairo Quintana looks the big threat, perhaps.
Well, he's still got 11 seconds on Contador. Contador's looking better, and he beat Contador by 10 seconds in the last time trial, so that one's going to develop over the next week, and it's going to take just one of them to have a bad day.
All right, no bad days in this race so far for Chris Froome. Only great days. We'll be back to reprise it at 7 o'clock in the highlights.
Well done, son.
Hey, Mango, let's give that a go.
Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango. Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango. Mango, mango. Mango, mango. Who like the mango? They like the mango. Oh, they like the mango.
They wonder what the lychee tastes like.
Rubicon. Love the exotic.
Hello. I am Confused.com, the fastest insurance comparison robot in the world. But you can call me Brian. Right. I've run your details through my extensive circuits, resulting in a saving of £225 on your car insurance.
That's alright, that is, isn't it?
Yeah. Who is our daddy?
I don't know.
Bye-bye. Confused.com. How may I save you? Pounds.
Welcome to my little house in the country. Here I enjoy the simple life, making cidre. The work is hard. The apples have to be picked by hand. This one. And after an honest day's work, 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to relax with the locals. A simple Belgian recipe. For a sophisticated taste, c'est cidre, not cider.
New Lynx Apollo, now available on Earth. Also available in antiperspirant.
DVDs, memory cards. We want to store life. But before storing memories, first, you need to live. Renault Capture. Capture life.
Welcome to the Man Manual. Instructions for the modern man. Man's armpits are a groundbreaking achievement of design. Warning, failure to look after man's armpits